Madness, 2. Inside a city located not far away from the Celestial Palace, countless powerful individuals are currently confronting a little girl who radiated a dangerous air using those demonic eyes of hers. She's gorgeous yet unapproachable with that spear in hand. Kill her! One of the stronger-looking men commanded, sending the rest swarming up to rush this foe. With the blood spraying everywhere as their attacks crossed, the girl only got more impassionate. Give me my mother and prince brother back, you'll give them back. These people in from the celestial realm only knows how to hurt us, hurt mother and his highness, perhaps. They will never come back again. At the thought of the worst possible outcome, a blast of madness ripped into the Mrs. Eye, causing her attack to grow ever more ferocious. Die. People in the world who hurt my mother and prince brother all deserve to die. The group defending his area was already nearing their limits when this occurred. Now to be confronted by another surge in strength from the girl, how could they take it? Of the one who ordered the hit, he was the first to go by having his head blown right off that neck and leaving a downpour of red in his wake. Return my mother, return my prince brother. Screaming in her voice, the little girl's every maneuver now brought great fear to those who are trying to reap her life. How is this possible? Is she really just a little girl? In all the panic and chaos, those who are too weak to retaliate quickly found themselves caught in the shockwave in the following sonic boom that sent everything flying off into the air like a cyclone just rammed through the terrain. It's pure carnage. Whether it be building or person, they were all merciless wrecked apart or blown away into some rubble. Somewhere else inside a mountain peak of the celestial realm, Jin Tian the little glutton had no idea the sort of trouble and destruction the outside was facing. The kid only wanted to continue filling his tummy with the delicious fruit in his hand, thus leaving that belly bulging with delight. On the contrary, his twin sister Ling Yan actually became depressed for a short while in the initial phase of being sent away with First Elder. She wanted to be with Bai Yan. Sadly, she got no way to do so and eventually found herself landing here in this little stream up in the mountains and playing with the dragon on whom she's sitting atop of. Of course, the twins didn't come here alone. They're being closely escorted by Winger the ancient bird demon who now acted as their loyal guardian. The man felt great guilt after all he's done, therefore he felt the need to protect these kids while the demon realm's main forces retreated back to their own territory while awaiting Song's return. Madness, 3. While the twins were busy enjoying themselves here on this serene mountain top, First Elder was more into contemplating the fate of their kind and the future it beholds. But the quiet times wouldn't last, for in the next moment of his long thought process came a huge draconian roar that rocked the air far and wide, reaching even their location that's devoid of civilized settlements. It's Princess Dragonis' cry. First Elder thought after jumping down from the boulder in which he's perched. What could have happened to cause Her Highness this much grief? This won't do, I must locate her immediately. She is the Queen's goddaughter. If anything happens to her while under my watch, then I won't be able to face the Queen anymore. Taking to the sky to swoop over to the twin spot. Winger, I'm leaving you in charge here, protect the princess and prince while I'm not around. Swinging his head around, Winger didn't need to guess on the reasoning, for he too heard the cry. Is it to do with that dragon roar? Yes, you're correct. I must leave now, so I can't explain. If the Queen and King return, then take them both back to the demon realm. His Majesty will know what to do if I don't return in time. Dropping these orders down, the old demon elder didn't say more and rushed in rapid pace to find the dragoness. Back over in the city, a grave scene has taken hold of this settlement. Those who aren't strong enough or fled at a much earlier time have mostly died by now. They are very scared of the young dragoness who's clearly not in the right mind. You're never going to find your mother and prince brother in this lifetime, huh? One of the more frightened defenders couldn't bear the intense pressure anymore and began to laugh maniacally. They're all dead, that's why, they're all dead. The others remaining were all immensely shocked by their comrade's outburst. They understood why one of their own would lose themselves like so. After all, the other girl had started the attack without any warning and kept insisting they tell her where that mother and prince brother was. And if they refused, she would charge at them and smash everything in sight. However, there remains a pattern to this, so the last of them could still contend with the fact. But now, One should never provoke someone that's already walking on thin lines in their head, otherwise it would only cause more harm. And sure enough, when the person's words came out, the young lass's iris diluted into an unfocused haze, the sounding cutting off from her world with only the sound of heartbeat thumping. It's a very rhythmic sound, but a knock on her last strand of reasoning as well. Dead? Mother's dead? Brother Xiaochen is dead? Didn't they only said they're missing? Why would they be dead? If they're dead, then what am I going to do? Tears flowed down the girl's cheek like a raging river, unable to be stopped or hindered. Revenge. I'm going to avenge them. Celestial Palace, keepers, this world, they will all pay. Ah! Clasping that head of hers, the young lass roared out in pure madness that's able to shake the very fabric of reality. It's suffocating to even peer at this scene. In spite of that ominous pressure, the man that's lost his mind as well due to the situation continues to lash out, causing those around him to cower backwards in order to gain some distance. Dead. They're all dead. You will not have a good ending either. But that outburst didn't get to last much longer, for a small hand reached out and grabbed him by the throat, snapping that bone and ripping his head right off the body. Blood sprayed out in a geyser-like frenzy, staining everything within reach, including the ruthless and bloodthirsty girl and the sky itself. If they died, then all of you will die too. Tossing the now headless corpse onto the ground with a heavy thud, the demonic being fixes her focus onto the last of the survivors. The remaining defenders really wanted to cry foul at this point. They didn't lament or care for that fool's death since he caused it, but they didn't do nothing to warrant this level of attention. This damn idiot, if he wants to die, then do it alone, don't drag us down with him. Heartache 1, this is bad. The leader of the group could no longer keep up the courage to fight this fear. Without another thought, the individual ditches his companions and turned tails for the other way in a thin glimmer of hope to save his own hide. However, it's too late. The scorching flame that materialized as he did so came shooting over in a blast of radiant heat, engulfing him and burning him into ash. Acting in a similar effect to a plague, the purgatory flames quickly contaminated the rest of the city after the initial explosion, burning and incinerating the structures in its wake. Fortunately, most if not all of the residences were able to escape in time after having the battle dragged on for so long, otherwise the victims here today would be in the tens of thousands. But this fact did not matter to the young lass who caused all this though. That mind of hers was quickly losing upon itself, replaced only by anger and a murderous intent for all living things. So, by the time Keeper Ling and the rest of his fellows from the Celestial Palace arrived was when this scene of carnage reached its peak, the lass standing atop of a pile of what remained of the defenders with a couple survivors wailing in pain and one extending their hand out for help. Sadly for the grumpy keeper who attempted to charge in at this cruel scene, the perpetrator didn't give him the chance to do anything, incinerated the last of the survivor like a big slap at his face without surprise. Keeper Ling felt an indescribable burst of anger wanting to explode out of his chest. Fixating his menacing eye at the one responsible, "Little girl, I do not believe there is any grudge between us. Why do you attack and murder so many of us from the celestial realm?" This wasn't the first attack on one of the cities under their management. The only reason they never came out was due to the threat of the demon realm attacking if they interfered. That's why the old-timer felt so angry. He's angry at himself for not acting sooner and allowing this heinous carnage to run so long. You all deserve it. They all deserve to die. Drawing his sword in one full swing, Keeper Ling didn't hesitate and slashes down at the young lass's head after getting the broken answer. Despite the sudden and sneaky maneuver, the blood-covered girl neither hid nor dodged, only strolling forward as the sword came down. It hit and a sharp gash now shows from the shoulder down to the right elbow. It's painful to even glare at it as the blood poured out. Keeper Ling, this little girl doesn't seem to be right in the head. Keeper Zun zoned in at the erratic tone and commented, her symptoms, it's as if she's gone berserk. Not only that, she seems to sense a deep level of sadness as well exuding from the girl's body. As if she's willing to throw away the life she had due to its meaningless existence. Not good. The kind keeper exclaims suddenly, she's not only gone berserk, she also wants to commit suicide with us. Suicide? Jolting to attention at the phrase, Keeper Ling, who had the biggest balls among his peers, didn't want to get an inch closer at this point. He's arrogant and stubborn at times, but that doesn't mean he's willing to die for nothing. So, turning to his sword, he slashes out multiple times and shot out energy blade after energy blade. The repeated attack worked. Falling into tatters, the blood-stained dress was cut all over with the deep wounds on that body to showing for it. In light of the savage hits, she doesn't falter and lacked any image of someone suffering from pain. On the contrary, there's only a deeper level of hatred in that dainty little face, which manifested into a deep dark black burning fire that scorched everything in its vicinity. Keeper Ling, don't let her near us. Keeper Zun advises his peer in great shock. Make no mistake, there's no question in the kind keeper's mind that the girl's current state was dreadfully dangerous. Take that black burning fire, it's giving him such a bad feeling that he instinctively. Heartache, too. Keeper Ling didn't relent in his attacks, only increasing in his furor by throwing blow after blow out towards the demonic being. Sadly for him, though, that deep dark flame reacted with a mind of its own, burning and incinerating any energy blade he shot at her. Then to counter his own attacks, the pyre of black suddenly took on the shape of a dragon and pounced at himself, whistling over in a mounting charge of death. Run! Keeper Yellow grits his teeth and yells this out aloud, not wanting to keep mixing himself with this freaky girl. He could see the attacks were fruitless. When did the demon realm have another strong one like this? Why didn't we know about this? Seeing Yellow already fleeing for his own life, the other keepers who also witnessed this immediately turned tail and ran as well. However, one of them acted just a tad too late there and got caught by the flaming dragon that coiled into a deathly grip around the leg. By the time any of them realizes this had befallen one of their own, it was already late. All they could hear were the deafening scream of their own brother in this dark, damp night as they glanced backwards. As much as their hearts wanted to help, they are aware there's nothing they could do but flee from the scene of carnage. Dragoni wasn't going to let them escape, of course. Increasing her pace to give chase, the girl didn't make it far before a hand suddenly grabbed her by the shoulder and stopped her on the spot. As retaliation, she swiped backwards in a reflexive jab at the person. Bang! The one doing this was none other than First Elder, who had just arrived on the site. He did not expect such a strong reaction in that instant and took the hit fully, causing his old body to stumble backwards and shuddering in dismay. But as the old saying goes, an old bone always has more experience than the young. Despite getting hit, the old-timer was quickly able to recover and make sense of the carnage around the ruined city. Princess Dragoni, what is going on here? Then seeing the wounds all over the young lass's body, First Elder's face darkened as he peered in the direction of those fleeing keepers. Is it the Celestial Palace who did this to you? Yet no reply came from the princess's mouth, only an indifferent stare at the old elder before turning back to her initial course of giving chase. You can't go! First Elder exclaims, quickly reaching out again to grab hold of Dragoni's hand. You are injured. If you continue to overdraw on your powers, then your life will be expended and you'll die. Funny part was that Dragoni never intended to live after this fight anyways, thus making the elder's concern moot. Once she kills them all from the Celestial Palace, then she would kill herself regardless. It doesn't matter in the end. Go away! Finding the old elder won't go away, Dragoni releases a sliver of her powers to shove the person away. This appalled the old elder. In honest truth, he never thought the young dragoness would hold such powers that threatened even himself. Above all, he could tell Dragoni was already tapping into the dragon essence inside herself to power this feat. If this continues, then nothing would be able to save her. Like the old man suspected, the situation has gone from bad to worse in this brief period. However, not all hope was lost. Dragoni still had a glimpse of sanity left in her. Otherwise the girl would have attacked the old grandpa in force at the beginning. Princess Dragoni, you mustn't go. The Celestial Palace will be dealt with by the forces of the demon realm. At this rate you will really die. If you die, then what about the queen, your mother? And what about Prince Xianxia? He is going to be extremely sad if you die. Hurrying to get in front with arms spread, First Elder didn't want to risk letting her get away after seeing that feet moving. And sure enough, The very mention of those two brought a wavering stall to Dragonis' movement. Yet it's not due to her coming back to reason, nay, it's an intensified anger swirling in those eyes like it's going to erupt. Heartache 3. Those people killed mother and brother Xianxia, those people killed them. They're all damned and deserves it. I'm going to avenge them by murdering them all. Crying her hearts out, Dragonis' body began curling up into a ball as she clasped her head in agony. There's so much sadness in that voice that it's unbearable. First Elder's heart raged at this like a good senior would when facing a junior's pain. He doesn't know what has been said by those bastards, but it couldn't have been good if Dragoni would lose herself to such extent. Even so, the old demon doesn't intend to act just yet, not until the king and queen returns anyways. It's just a matter of time, and when they do return, the first to be conquered would be the Celestial Palace. I am so miserable. Mother is not around anymore, Prince Brother is not around anymore. Why is it only me here? It's so painful. I'll murder them all. At first the old demon elder thought his persuasion had some effect in bringing the princess back to her senses, but that last bit about murdering them all instantly shattered any illusion he had about that notion. Then glancing down at those red menacing eyes, he saw the madness swirling within those irises. It's enough to make him flinch backwards like he's peering into a chaotic void ready to devour the whole world. Princess, neither the queen nor prince is dead. If they see you like this, then it will only cause them great pain. Do you not see that? Move, liar, you're a liar. Shoving the old elder aside in anguish, that tearful face told the world she didn't believe any of it. They are gone, I can't feel their presence anymore. Before I can always sense mother's energy signature no matter where she is, now I can't at all. I'm going to avenge her and murder them all. In light of the shove, First Elder continues to cling on to her like a helpless grandfather trying to save his own grandchild. He knows, unless the queen returns in person and do something about this, there's no stopping the princess from going berserk. But would that be possible? The queen only disappeared not too long ago. What are the chances that she would return this quickly? But then suddenly as he thought of this, beam of light gradually appears from the night sky, dispersing the dark clouds like a ray of sunshine. Seemingly becoming aware of this event above his own head, First Elder slowly raises his head to look up. Then that's when he saw it, that incredible picture of a woman and child coming down from the void and causing his eyes to widen in shock and glee. He's trembling with excitement and an indescribable sense of fortune. The familiar red, and that familiar smile, it's everything that he could ask for. Then that boy, that sly yet adorable young face of a boy he would love to cradle in a protective basket. They're the demon queen and demon prince he sought to bring back to help himself. Heartache 4. Dragoni. Initially Bai Yen expected to re-enter the celestial realm from somewhere closer to where she left off, yet that wasn't the case, nor did she expect to find her goddaughter lying there on the ground all bloodied up and in tatters. What's going on? Who is the one who hurt you like this? She quickly descends from the sky and lands before the stunned-looking lass, her arms open and readying to reach out to help. The dragoness didn't utter a word though at those welcoming arms. Instead, she wholeheartedly threw herself over to the demon queen and wrapped those little arms around the woman's waist, refusing to let go in fear of losing her for a second time. Dragoni, tell me what is going on here? Caressing the girl's back in a soothing gesture after nearly losing her balance, Bai Yen could tell something terrible must have occurred to rattle her daughter to this extent. I only left for a short while. How did things turn out like this? I bet it's those from the Celestial Palace who did this again. What? Under that soft cooing, Dragoni finally crumbled and began to weep in earnest. There's no madness in the eye, nor cold menacing hatred for the world in that sob, only the pitiful crying of a sad little girl who suddenly got her world back. They told me you and Brother Xianxia were dead. Wah, I don't want you to die, I don't want you. Recognizing the princess's state of mind has returned, First Elder, who's been dreadfully worried up until now, could feel at ease and released the tense grip around his hand. He was ready to move if the princess attacked the demon queen. That's how alarmed the old demon felt when he saw the girl jumping at the older woman. Likewise, Bai Xiachen also saw the unstable mind of Dragoni, who continued to cry. He didn't know how to show his emotions right now aside from clenching his fist in frustration. He knew it's not his fault, but he could disregard the guilt felt inside for not being around for the lass when she needed him the most. I will definitely make those who hurt her pay. The steam bun vowed inwardly, his eyes firm and strong. Dragoni, I will not die, Xiachen will not die, and we will never leave you. Bai Yan says, using her soft, gentle voice reserved only for the kids. How can they claim I'm dead before my daughter? With Dragoni's personality, she would never be able to take the trauma. I will never forgive those bastards. Really? Dragoni finally lets up her damp mood and looked up to face the demon queen. You're not just trying to coax me? You'll really never leave? The girl's really afraid, fearing right down to her core. No one knows the crumbling feeling of her world disappearing during these past few days. Unlike her childhood where no one loved her, Bai Yan was the only sunshine in her life. Without that light, there's only darkness and despair. Really? Inhaling deeply, Bai Yan forcibly presses down the swirling emotion from within to show a reassuring smile. When did mother lie to you? Now take a medicinal pill and recover first, okay? Heartache, 5. Okay, Dragoni obediently nods after being offered a shiny green bead. If only those keepers could see this right now. If they did, then they would surely be popping their eyes out. The way the dragoness behaved was like a 180, a stark contrast to the world-devouring version just minutes ago. Mother, my heart is uncomfortable. Bai Xiachen sniffled his nose in a choking manner after witnessing Dragoni take the medicine from Bai Yan's hand. We mustn't let those who injured her go. Clenching her fist, Bai Yan was of the same opinion. Dragoni, who hurt you? Looking up with those teary eyes, the girl answered without hesitation. It's the people from the Celestial Palace. The Celestial Palace? The demon queen's face darkened some more, her eyes narrowing into a slit. Those bastards still haven't learned yet? How dare they hurt my daughter? In that case, I will be sure to settle the old and new debt altogether. Dragoni, does it still hurt? She asks in aching pain, both for herself and her sweet daughter. The question actually brought a momentary daze to the little girl. Truthfully, Dragoni herself didn't feel any pain despite all the physical injury on her body. Rather, the pain had hailed from the mental side, the soul. Now that Bai Yan has returned, that pain was also gone. It doesn't hurt. The dragoness shakes her head before turning to the teary steam bun. Prince brother, did you cry? Startled at being called out, Bai Xiachen hurriedly wipes his watery eye to put on a strong face. I did not, I am a man, I will not cry. As if he would admit that even if he did. That's good, said Dragoni with a brilliant smile. It really doesn't hurt, so don't feel sad for me. I'm so happy you're back. That did it? Originally the steam bun could still hold back his tears, but that remark instantly broke the dam and made him leak those droplets. In his haste, Bai Xiachen had to quickly turn away and wipe the corner of his eye to not look so emotional. Queen, Prince, First Elder figured it's time he spoke since everyone's slightly calmer now. Now that you are back, His Majesty should wake up too. Are we going back to the demon realm first? No need to hurry, we can head back home later. First we must settle a debt here. Just thinking of what the Celestial Palace has done during her absence was enough to make the woman's blood boil. Unfortunately for Bai Yan's plan, she miscalculated in this case and the courage those people had. Dragoni's power had completely shocked those old keepers. There's no way they would willingly return to the Celestial Palace. Even if she does barge into that place and attack it, the only ones left defending it would be the other soldiers and guards at station. Queen, the elder frowned, there is one thing I have to tell you first. What's the matter? She asks with a wary face. It's about that Yun Ruoxi. The elder's face didn't look very good either. After you disappeared that day, we locked up Yun Ruoxi and made her experience all the tortures we had to offer. We also made sure to keep guard of her with several high demons at the cell, but she still managed to escape our grasp. Faintly frowning, Bai Yan also found the news worrisome. Run away? How could she have done that considering her powers? Yes, with her strength it shouldn't be possible. Even if the Celestial Palace wants to save her, Those keepers shouldn't be capable without alarming us during the raid. What's more, the way that Yun Ruoshi disappeared is very odd. There's not a trace to go by, like she's just gone from the world itself. Heartache 6. Disappear from thin air? Rubbing her chin, Bai Yan's eyes began to gleam with thought. It's not possible for her to do that. Someone must have helped her somehow, and that individual must be extremely powerful. Perhaps stronger than those from the Celestial Palace. A bitter taste filled the old demon's tongue at the idea. My queen, this matter is our fault. If we had slain that Yun Ruo that day, then she never would have been able to escape to continue scourging our world. Elder, the blame is not yours to bear, she says while shaking the head. After all, you didn't know someone would try to save her. What's more, if someone that powerful is willing to move on her behalf, then you're powerless to stop them anyways. You're not their opponent. I'm just curious as to why they aren't moving more openly and remains in the shadow. The elder's heart literally skipped a beat. What you're saying is, the one who did it is a divine lord? Someone that's capable of tearing a piece of the world and making it his own? Unlike demi-divine lords who have barely scraped at the surface of what the physical law of the world has to offer, a divine lord was someone that's truly grasped onto the world. They're capable of tearing through space itself and ruling over a pocket dimension as their own. That's what it means to advance further. It should be. Bai Yan nods and confirms the idea. First elder visibly gasped. No wonder state teacher told us not to pursue that Yun Ruoshi for the time being. He likely saw this coming. But why did that person not face us in person if he's that capable? Someone that powerful shouldn't need to hide in the shadows, nor would we be able to capture that Yun Ruoshi from the very start if he came forward. None of this is making sense. I will discuss the issue with Ditsong when he wakes up again. Whoever they are, or whatever they are, they're bound to face us eventually. We must be prepared for that day when it comes. If such enemy does appear, they would be the strongest they faced thus far. I understand, nodded the elder. Queen, the little princess and prince are still here in the celestial realm. Should we go meet with them? You are right, we should go meet with them later. Ling Yan and Jin Tian must be missing me a lot. I bet they are already crying their noses out by this point. At the mention of her precious twins, Bai Yan's heart would immediately soften up. However, the second her sight glanced over Dragoni's body, the fire within would immediately burst forward again and caused her to rage. Dragoni, come with me, we will go to the Celestial Palace and settle your debt. Okay. Dragoni obediently answers, her attitude like a good little child that could do no wrong. Your eyes. It's only then does the demon queen notice her goddaughter's iris. They're of a different shade, carrying a spooky and fearful glint. Despite the dragoness's attempt at hiding this fact, it's too impactful. Reaching up to touch her own eyelid, Dragoni appears puzzled as well. It's been like this since I woke up again. Mother, are you going to dislike me because of this? That question held so much nervous tension that everyone could hear it. She's just too afraid of being rejected by her most precious mother that it hurts just listening to it. That's how insecure the dragoness was inside. Heartache 7. Perhaps becoming aware of the insecurity in her daughter's heart, Bai Yan gently pulls the girl into a hug before attempting to break the shadow inside. Of course not. You are my daughter. I will never dislike you. If I really don't care, then why would I keep Xianxia then when he was born? After all, as a human being, giving birth to a talking fox was out of this world for someone that came from Earth. But her love as a mother won out in the end. Regardless of what species in which the baby hailed from, she would love them all as much. Bai Xianxia, who heard this, immediately made a displeased and wronged face. In his mind, the boy finds himself to be very cute and adorable when he was born, therefore it made no sense as to why his mother would even suggest the idea of abandoning himself. Dragoni, you don't need to worry, me and mother will never turn our backs on you. Giving the girl a pat on the head, he also tries to comfort her in his own way. Breaking out into a brilliant smile at the contact, she's truly relieved and found the baggage dropping off her shoulders. It's good that mother and brother Xianxia won't turn their backs on me. Within a mountain range of the celestial realm, Ling Yan was currently having a great time playing atop of the big blue water dragon lying in the pool of water underneath. Your injury should be about healed. In that case, Her Highness should stop providing you with her blood. Winger the guardian bird says after finding the creature's health stabilizing. The idea to use the princess's blood to heal this blue dragon was none other than Di Ling Yen herself. She's a very kind child. In front of an injured animal, she couldn't resist the urge in offering a helping hand when she had the means. Fortunately, the process didn't take much due to the prominent effects of her blood, only a few drops here and there was enough. That is obvious, you don't need to remind me. The blue-scaled dragon warmly retorts, its aura giving off a comfortable sensation to not only the demons around, but to the terrain as well, with its power gradually returning following the recovery. Pleased by the answer, Winger crosses his arms and leaned in against the tree next to himself. I'm curious though, who managed to bring you to this state? Is it the same people who's been hunting me from that place? The water dragon suddenly got all silent then, seemingly trying to decide on whether on answering the question with honesty or simply avoiding the question altogether. My enemy shouldn't be the same as yours based on my observation of your scar. As for whether or not they're from the same place, I can't be certain. Regardless, I will be leaving this place once I have fully recovered thanks to this child's blood. Don't worry, I will keep my promise to Bai Ning and form a familiar contract with her daughter if we were to ever meet again. The water dragon made a promise to Bai Ning for helping him during his weakest, however, he never mentioned anything about staying here forever. He also has an important commitment to attend to, that's why he's going to leave. If fate permits, then the contract would be fulfilled, otherwise. I'll tell Her Highness the Queen that. Winger nodded, pleased enough to hear the commitment hasn't been forgotten. In that case I will give you my name, chuckling at the bird's childish behavior. In all the realms, I go by only one name, Grave Blue, the water dragon. I'm certain the mother of these two kids would eventually come to me. I can't wait to see that day, ha! Grave Blue has taken quite the liking to Di Ling Yen and the little glutton Di Jin Tian during this period. Undoubtedly, he's going to miss the little twins by leaving this place. Grandpa Water Dragon, are you leaving? Di Ling Yen leans forward from the dragon's head and peeks down at those big blue eyes and asked. Likewise, the little glutton also stopped in his act of gobbling the fruits and stared dazingly at the pool for the impending answer. Stray Dog 1, yes, I have to leave this place. Little ones, I'm sure we'll meet again soon. There's only gentleness in the dragon's eye as he met the baby girl's gaze. Tightly holding onto that head to show her sadness at the impending separation, Grandpa Water Dragon, I will miss you. Ha, Grave Blue guffawed a laugh. Help me say farewell to your grandmother Bai Ning for me, this will be our farewell. After saying this, the water dragon broke out of the pool and flew into the open sky with Di Ling Yen still sitting atop of his head. With a few circles around the air to let her enjoy the moment one last time, he descends back to the ground and gently placed his rider down before shooting back into the air. As he did so, the sky suddenly cracked and became torn like a hand had just ripped it apart. Grave Blue didn't slow down at this, rushing even faster into the void and disappearing from this world in its entirety. Where is Grandpa Water Dragon going? Looking at the direction where the dragon disappeared off to, the little glutton quietly comments, why do I feel like he's not quite the same as us? After saying that, Jin Tian felt perplexed and troubled by what he didn't know. Shaking his head, the baby prince nearly made himself dizzy by doing so. He's simply too young to understand the complexity of his own dilemma, hence his quick ability to forget the issue. Uncle Winger, Di Ling Yen continues to ask using her babyish voice since she's a lot smarter, Grandpa Water Dragon is gone, does that mean we're going home too? I want to see Mother. Bringing her thumb up to bite the nail, the young child was all sad and aggrieved along the face. I miss Mother so much. Slightly taken aback by the suddenness of this, Winger knew he had to tread carefully on this subject. Your mother the Queen isn't around right now, she's gone somewhere very far away. Don't worry, she will be back real soon, but why doesn't Mother bring me along? Pouting in an upset manner, the girl looks up with those poor eyes. I am very good, why did Mother bring only Big Brother and not Ling Yen? I promise not to make trouble. As long as she could stay by Yan's side, then this princess would be satisfied. Princess, if your mother returns then we will be noticed at the earliest hour, why don't we rest for now, okay? Winger never thought that he would have such patience for a child, but in front of this pink tender cuddly ball of a loli, he had no strength to keep up his usual facade of being indifferent and unemotional. Despite the consoling words though, Di Ling Yen merely sat down beside the pool and remained silent. She may not be protesting or throwing a fit as she should in this case, but anyone with an eye could tell she's very sad and dejected. "Prince, what are you doing?" Winger asks after noticing the little glutton carrying a batch of red fruits over in his arms. They're very ripe and delicious looking, yet they're also too heavy for the child to carry at his tender age, which could be seen by the huffing and laboring pants. "I'm saving these for Mother when she comes. They're very delicious, I'm sure Mother will like them." The corners of Winger's mouth rose, happy for how good this baby boy was. From the very beginning, he had discovered the specialness of these fruits in this mountain range. Not only are they delicious, but they're also able to increase the body's ability to absorb spirit particles in the air. It's not very useful for the average demon, but it's definitely able to help the young prince grow since he's so young. "Stray dog, 2. I have a storage satchel for you, put anything you like for the queen in there." Winger untied a small little packet from his waist and presented it before the little glutton who eyed the item with a curious gaze. "What is a storage satchel?" Scratching the back of his head, the boy sounded confused. "It's so small, how can it hold all the fruits I picked?" I'll teach you how to use it." Although Jin Tian and Ling Yen are both royalty of the demon realm, they are nonetheless not accustomed to the various things of the outside world. Like storage bags and rings, they never needed to carry things to begin with, hence their lack of requirement for one from their elders. At the same time, in some far-off corner of the celestial realm, the keepers who managed to escape Dragonis' wrath like lost dogs appeared exhausted and ragged. "The girl isn't following us, we should be fine here." Keeper Zun, who's the kindest of the bunch, says after gathering his breath, his forehead showing a layer of sweat due to the long run. "I wonder where she came from and why she would have such enmity towards us." "Forget about her, what should we do now? Go back to the Celestial Palace?" Keeper Yellow cuts in and spoke using that cringed-up face of his. "No, we can't go back." Keeper Ling clenched his fist and yelled this out, both angry and regretful at what has come to pass. "We are no longer the demon realm's match. Even if Di Tsang and Bai Yen is no longer around, the Celestial Palace is no longer safe. Imagine that, the once high and proud rulers of the Celestial Realm have been reduced to wandering the open wilderness with no place to call home. Damn that Yun Ruoshi. If it wasn't for her deceit, things wouldn't have come to this. Nor would we have done what we did to Bai Yen 1,000 years ago. How could we have been fooled so wholeheartedly? If not, why don't we go ask for peace?" Another keeper weakly comments, "The great calamity is upon us. I'm sure the demon realm wouldn't have enough manpower to confront it. If both of our forces joined together, perhaps we would be able to overcome this great danger." Although others also agree with the idea, but none of them dares to actually carry out this act. They are certain of the demon's ferocity and that they would be killed on sight if went. "Let's find a place to hide for now. We cannot let the demons find us. The plan of relying on Bai Yen is likely out of the question for us." Keeper Zun finally suggests, sighing hard at their own predicament. "Ha!" It's then a sudden low mocking crackle fell from above, alarming all those standing below and making them freeze on the spot. Keeper Ling was the first to react and stared upwards, and that's when he saw the woman dressed in a long blue dress of seductive allure slowly stalking out of the void. She's very mysterious, but that voice couldn't be mistaken and was all too familiar for these trembling old keepers. "Stray dog, 3. You." Keeper Zun shakily points his finger at the woman that's now come out of the spatial void. "You were captured by the demons? How did you get here?" Even if the woman covered herself with a face veil, none here would be deceived by that thin garment. "Yunroshi, this woman is still alive? The demons didn't kill her?" "No way, the demons hate her so much, this can't be her." "The demons?" Yun Ruoshi sounded almost amused and chuckled at that, her eyes flashing the undisguised hatred she had for those beings. "What of the demons? The pain they inflicted upon me will be repaid in due time." She descends from the sky and then comes before her former protectors. How did she get out of the demon realm? What did she experience during this period? And what happened to allow her to be so pompous? These were merely a few of the questions that reverberated along these people's mind. You all must be wondering on how I got away, don't you? Smirking underneath her veil, the derisive snickering couldn't be denied. I may as well tell you fools then. A very powerful individual is now backing me. If it wasn't because the person couldn't do anything outside of the celestial realm, then the demon realm would have long been destroyed. Keeper Zun's eyes are now fully fixated onto the woman's figure due to those words, more powerful than the demons? And just now, didn't she come out of a spatial void? Yun Ruoxi. Keeper Ling, who had the worst temper, suddenly exploded, losing all reason from his voice. How dare you appear before us again? If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have wronged Bai Yen, nor would we have committed so many mistakes in the past. If it weren't for you, none of this would have occurred. Even death won't absolve you of your sins. The lying which only laughed some more at the accusation, that's only because you're too stupid to realize that on your own. I may have needed to heed your faces in order to live back then, but no more. I will never need to worry about you fools ever again. So what if Bai Yen is all heaven's owner? So what if she's better than me? I will still be the final winner, me. Yun Ruoxi. Keeper Yellow couldn't take this anymore either, his eyes showing great pain for seeing the true face of this witch. For a millennium, we loved and cared for you with all we had. How can you say such disgusting and grotesque things to us? Do you know how much we all lost? No, the world lost because of you? They may hate this witch after learning the truth, but I truly did love her like their own child back then. There's no lie in that part. But that heartfelt outburst only made Yun Ruoxi laugh even harder, like her stomach's about to burst. Love me? If you had known I wasn't all heaven's owner, then would you have treated me like you did? Well? We would never mistreat those of the celestial palace, regardless of their status or background. One of the keepers defensively cuts in. Ha! Almost hysterical in her voice now. So why did you give me up as soon as you knew I wasn't all heaven's owner then? Not one of you tried to save me that day outside the city, not one. Now you hypocrites dare to lecture me by saying your emotions are true? Which part of me is inferior to Bai Yen aside from having poorer luck than her? If I hadn't framed her about being the destroyer, then would you have removed her for me? Keeper Zun's figure visibly shook as his heart trembled. So it's you who spread that rumor? You would rather destroy this world just to satiate your own selfish greed? All they knew was Yun Ruoxi. She pretended to be the Crescent Moon Amulet's owner. Nothing about her spreading rumors about Bai Yen being the destroyer. They actually thought the rumor came from somewhere else entirely and didn't connect this point. Humph, she deserved every bit of what she got. I am clearly the more sensible one in the Celestial Palace, yet you all only had an eye for her. Not only did the old coot favor her over me, that old bastard also refused to take me as his apprentice, yet you all claim to be good to me anyways? Stray dog. For, even up to this point after all that has transpired, Yun Ruoxi still firmly believes she's not at fault and that it's others who had wronged her. Without exception, the expressions of these old-timers were all very angry yet sad at the same time towards the rebuttal. Yun Ruoxi, even now do you not understand the crime you've committed? Do you not see the price of your deceit? If your deception had not harmed the world, would we have given up on you? Keeper Zun couldn't suppress the urge and lashed out despite his usual kind nature. For you, we not only torched Bai Yen at the altar, we also murdered those around her and the unborn child in her belly. We did all that because of your scheme, your lie. Words can't even be used to describe the heinousness of her act, yet she still got the nerve to say we're the ones at fault? I'm not wrong. The fault has never been with me, it's all you peoples. Showing madness in those erratic eyes, the old witch suddenly snatched the veil covering her own face and removed it, thus revealing the scarred features underneath. Do you see this? This is all done by those demons. What Bai Yen owes me can never be repaid, and I will make sure she and her kind suffer indefinitely for the damage she instilled upon me. Ignorance. Keeper Zun shakes his head in disappointment, unable to comprehend how someone could twist logic to such a state. Enough. I'm not here to discuss the fault of you fools, I'm here to make a deal. Somehow regaining the sanity back into her voice, Yun Ruoxi's tone suddenly got extremely cold and menacing. I can help you deal with those from the demon realm. However, you must submit to me and become my slaves. Outrageous! Keeper Ling lashes out in volcanic proportions since his temper was the worst among his peers. For thousands of years, the rulers of the Celestial Palace have never submitted themselves to others, let alone to a traitor or a demon. The very idea was a slap in their face, a direct insult to their dignity. Yun Ruoxi, we will never join you now, Scram. Keeper Zun also shouts this out after having his last line crossed. He knows they aren't able to move against this woman anymore, but that doesn't mean he or his fellow keepers wanted to meet her again. You don't want to kill the demons? The witch slowly marched forward in an almost threatening manner. Don't forget what the demon realm would do if they catch any of you. Without the Celestial Lord's help, no one can oppose Di Tsang the Demon King. Now I'm offering you all a way out, a way to live. Also a way to exact revenge for a little price. That does it. Keeper Ling, who's been suppressing his urge to attack, finally lost it and rushed at the witch with all his might. Instantly, he punches down at her shoulder and sent the woman flying, causing a mouthful of blood to spew forward as the consequence. Get out of here. Keeper Ling exhales deeply to gather his wits to withhold a second strike. Don't let me see you again, otherwise I won't be so merciful. This woman cheated me the worst. How dare she demand us to become her slave? Dream on. State Teacher and Di Xiaowanwan. Yun Ruoxi's face instantly changed for the worse after getting hit and returned to that hateful and spiteful expression. Humph, I've given you all the chance. Don't say I never offered it since you don't want to cherish this opportunity. Snarling as she cursed at them. Also, you fools don't really believe that Bai Yen can resist the great calamity, do you? Ha, don't make me laugh. I can't wait until you all come crawling to beg for my help. Figuring her continued persuasion would be futile, she roars out another laugh of contempt before pulling herself out from the ground. She didn't bother to look back while departing and stepped into the open spatial crack, allowing it to devour her figure and disappearing altogether like she came. Yun Ruoxi really is ignorantly stubborn. One day she will regret her own deeds. Retracting his gaze after saying that, Keeper Zun turns back to the others once he managed to calm himself somewhat. We need to find a place and continue our training. We must prepare ourselves for the incoming danger. Even if we can't repel whatever is to come, we must do everything in our powers to fight. Let's go then, we wasted enough time here. Keeper Yellow agrees with clenched fist. He also doted that old witch in the past, so he's very much outraged at the last remark from her. Of course, there are those who couldn't get over the situation, and that would be Keeper Ling, who had the worst temper among the group. The old guy loved Yun Ruoxi the most here and blindly believed in her stories from the very start, hence his inability to move right now. The poor guy kept staring into the now closed void and needed to be dragged away by his peers. Demon Realm. Under the shadow of this blood-red moonlight, the whole world seemed so lifeless and gloomy, yet that was not the case in the castle making up the home base for these demons. Sire, you're finally awake. Asking this was none other than State Teacher, who's been watching over the Demon King's slumbering body. Where is my wife the Queen and my son? Opening his eyes, Di Tsang's first word wasn't about himself, rather it's about Bai Yen and his children. My king, the prince and queen disappeared while they were in the celestial realm. That means they will reappear over on that side as well. State Teacher replies in a humble manner, his mouth showing that perennial gentle smile of a fairy. Brother! Exactly then, while Di Tsang was still organizing the information he's given, a reckless figure suddenly barged into the hall and broke the stale air. She's very youthful and beautiful, yet the rash behavior told everyone there's much tempering to be had for this gorgeous flower. Brother, you're finally back. Guess what? I remember everything from way back. I also got my powers back too and won't be a drag on you anymore. Despite the commotion, Di Tsang simply ignored the silly sister of his and continued to speak. State Teacher, go make an announcement to everyone. My wife, 2 sons and daughter will be returning in short order. State Teacher and Di Xiaowan, 2 princes and princess? Does that mean I have another nephew and niece? Isn't that wonderful? Di Xiaowan got an excited look in her eyes, then due to all the possibilities of what this news might bring. Nearly screaming out her joy, the girl only managed to stop herself due to knowing how irate Song would become. Yes, as you wish, sire. State teacher dutifully arches his fist and complied by heading for the exit. Seeing this, Xiao the sweet Dumbaklutz didn't hesitate and quickly followed from the rear. State teacher, wait for me. Even though the fairy-like man remains anxious to do the task assigned to him, he's nevertheless slowed down his pace to allow the princess time to move. He's always been patient with this girl, always tender in his smile, and always willingly to do anything that she pleases, no matter the situation or era. Naturally oblivious to the love shown to herself, the sweet Dumbaklutz starts going off with her mouth using her happy-go-lucky style once they were outside. State teacher, is my new niece as cute and good-looking as my sister-in-law? No matter though, I'm sure she had inherited all the good points and will be a great beauty regardless. Knowing my big bro, he will break anyone's leg if they go after my niece. Kiki, there is going to be a lot of fun things to see in the future. Princess, sometimes, the king won't be able to oversee that many things. The king is indeed strict, but he's partial to the queen and will always do as she says. If the little princess does fall in love with a man, the queen will definitely side with her. By then not even the king can say no. Against that remark, Xiao also agrees and nodded repeatedly. You are right. The demon realm is so big, there's no way my big bro can watch over everyone. Besides, the real one in charge is sister-in-law, he can't get a say. Aren't you worried of your brother hearing this? The guy rubs his temple in a helpless manner due to the level of courage this princess had towards her own older brother. Huffing a rebellious grunt at the question, there is sister-in-law on my side, I am afraid of nothing. But the queen is not in the demon realm right now. As soon as this fact fell down, so did the smile from the princess's mouth. It's frozen, just like the courage in which propelled those words coming from Xiao's mouth mere seconds ago. Swiftly ducking her head in fear, the girl turns around slightly in search of any signs of danger. When none was found, a sign of relief filled came through, but the timid nature never receded in her appearance. Smiling along the eyes at the silly behavior, state teacher couldn't keep it up and chuckled slightly. I was only teasing, you don't have to be so afraid of the king. I alone am enough to protect you. Puckering her lips into an unhappy fashion, how are you supposed to protect me when you also need to listen to my brother? I only need sister-in-law's protection. As long as I cling onto her leg then I am safe, I don't need to fear anyone. Princess, suddenly getting all serious in the face, I said I can protect you, that's always true no matter the situation. Even if I can't, I will resist and shield any danger that might come your way. That abrupt proclamation actually made the demon princess thump excitedly in the heart. Looking up with those big beautiful eyes, she felt a surge of heat taking hold of those cheeks once she saw how serious the man was before herself. It's making her all fluttery inside and she didn't know why. State teacher and Xiao 3. Princess, no matter what happens in the future, I will always be your shield. Know that you can depend on me, I will always be there when you need me the most. That said, state teacher presses forward a few steps to corner the girl against a wall, his eyes full of desire and strength. With this girl's IQ, I must be more direct, otherwise she will never understand my feelings. What if some other guy comes around and snatches her away? I crushed on her for a millennium, I won't let some nobody come around and snatch her away while under my watch. Stumbling backwards at the close contact, Xiao found it difficult to meet that gentle face. In her desperation, she actually turned tail and ran away without actually uttering a single word. It's embarrassing and humiliating for someone like her who has always done as she pleases. Towards this outcome, state teacher could only make a helpless smile. Looks like I scared her with this push. After escaping from the main hall, Xiao didn't stop running until she's completely out of breath and red in the face. She's at a total loss and it's making her frantic. This is strange, what's wrong with me? Wiping some of the sweat off the forehead, a bewildered light filled her eyes. Did he just make a move on me? No way, that's impossible. We are so close, how can he have that sort of feeling towards me? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, it's so hot out here, I need to find a cooler place to get myself together. Yes, it must be too hot out here, otherwise why else would I sweat so much? State teacher is like an older brother. An older brother? How can an older brother like their little sister? Shaking her head to throw away the confusing thoughts, Di Xiaowan immediately went back to her own quarters to rest. However, that rest didn't last too long once she got wind of Di Tsong's departure. The demon princess has never been one to stay still. The moment she felt bored and was rearing to go make trouble again was when she left the palace. Eventually, the demon princess had found herself standing atop of a mountain peak and staring up into the blood-red moon trying to think about life. Yuwu. It's then a weak murmuring cry reached over, catching the girl's attention. It didn't take much searching for Di Xiaowan to locate the source in this case. She's a fox after all. Hiding behind some tall flowers and grasses was a weakened fox that's been stained with blood, and since she herself was also a member of the fox clan, there's no way this sweet dumbklutz could turn a blind eye to this scene. Crouching down, she pulls out a bottle and swiftly poured the medicine onto the fox's injured belly. This is something my sister-in-law gave me. Since we're the same kind, I will help you this one time. By the way, which family are you from? How come I never seen you before? State teacher and Di Xiaowan 4. Di Xiaowan originally planned to only give a helping hand before letting the fox go. However, the unsteady way it moved after taking the medicine only reaffirmed her kind heart. She just couldn't leave the little guy alone when she knows he wouldn't be able to make it on his own in that state. Fine, just this once since he's also a fox. Without further thought, she quickly leaned down and picked up the little guy to head home. She's got no more business around this area and wanted to find something else to do, yet her luck wasn't going to play along. Right as she's heading back to her own quarters in the main path, she accidentally bumped into State Teacher who was also heading over to another spot for business. Princess. Behind came the familiar gentle voice, which made the girl all stiff and rigid in the back due to the awkwardness of the encounter. You need something of me, State Teacher? Not missing the timid note in her voice, the man walks up without any hesitation. Are you hiding from me? Flickering her eyes left and right to avoid contact, Di Xiaowan didn't dare speak the truth. I did not. You don't have to hide from me, I just don't want to continue looking at your back all the time. If you accept my feelings, then I will ask the king for your marriage, but if you disagree, I will still continue to protect you for the rest of my life. That? She bites her lip. Can you let me think about it? I'll wait for you. Undeterred and not let down, the man who has always held up a fairy-like image wanted to shove a little harder by getting closer when he saw the fox in the girl's hand. Getting a sinking feeling. This fox is... I found him on a hill outside the palace. He's hurt, and I don't believe he has any powers yet. I brought him home so he can recuperate in a better environment. Can you give him to me? State Teacher fixes his sight on the little critter. I'll take care of this fox for you. Di Xiaowan did not think much of the idea and easily threw the patient over. She's never been much of a thinker, so whatever underlying meaning there was remains a mystery to her. I don't have much experience in caring for others, so I'll leave him in your care. After saying this, she immediately hightailed it out of there due to not being able to confront this man whom she considered better than an older brother. Watching that disappearing back, State Teacher only shook his head for the 10th time today. Smiling bitterly at his own pitiful self, the guy then shifts his attention back onto the white fox. The demon princess may not realize this, but he does. This creature wasn't of the demon realm. The danger it posed remains unknown, but there's no way he would allow such threat to remain by the girl's side. In the meantime, he would be the one to care for him until they figured out the origin of this fox. As if to confirm his suspicion, the white fox suddenly whimpered somewhat after realizing he's been left behind by the princess. It's strange in the way it stared at Di Xiaowan's back. Towards this behavior, State Teacher didn't miss it one bit and flashed a cold glint in his eyes. It's almost terrifying compared to his usual gentle face shown to everyone. Jealousy? 1. The following day. Early in the morning light, Di Xiaowan had been pacing around outside State Teacher's residence when she eventually gritted her teeth and headed inside. State Teacher, I thought about yesterday's conversation. I think we're still too early and need some more time. But before her last part of the sentence could be said, She stopped and gawked at the wonderful-looking woman standing outside state teacher's room. This woman had silky long hair of snow-white color, a weak and frail face like she would waver at the slightest breeze, a true plaything in the eyes of men. Out of instinct, the demon princess started to subconsciously clench her fist. She didn't know why either, but there's an indescribable emotion of anger, disappointment, and a jealous sourness in which she herself never realizes it. "Greetings to you, princess." The woman wasted no time in arching her back once she realizes who has arrived. Extremely ugly in her face, Di Xiaowan blurted out the first thing that came to mind. "You slept in state teacher's room last night?" "Yes." The woman who could be a model smiled warmly in her polite answering. A perfect image of a wife securing her place. Di Xiaowan's lip pursed into a thin line at that news. Going into a blank state, she wanted to run away only to hit a fleshly wall as she did so. If not for that powerful hand reaching out to keep her from falling, the princess would have long hit the ground. "Princess, why are you leaving as soon as you're here? Did you not say you will give me an answer? Have you made up your mind yet?" State teacher never once looked at the model woman up ahead, his gaze forever locked onto the sweet Dumbaklutz who's all pitiful looking right now. Huffing a displeased grunt. "You still have the nerve to ask me of that? I thought you really liked me because of all the females you rejected in the past, but to think you are already holding another woman in your home. Now you still want me to marry you?" It's likely not even the girl herself would notice this, but the way she spoke was like a girlfriend discovering their boyfriend cheating on them. That's the sort of tone she used there. Showing a frown in his face. "Princess, what do you mean by that? You slept with this woman, and you asked me what I mean?" Di Xiaowan viciously snaps out, her foot stomping down at his to show force. "I'm telling you, I will not be degraded into sharing a husband with someone else. She's the princess of the demon realm, never would her pride or personality allow such an outcome." Making a gawking face like he's eaten a rotten apple, state teacher instantly realizes the reason and turns to the snow-white woman in question. "Yesterday you slept in my room? Who allowed you into my room?" Lowering her head immediately, she replies in timid tone, "Milord, I didn't know it was your room. I asked my servants to arrange accommodation for you. Why did you not rest in the assigned room?" Kneeling now in horror, that soft charming face of the snowy white lady showed panic and franticness. "I really didn't know, milord. I would never think of doing anything outside of your wishes or the princess's after she rescued me yesterday. After being assigned the room, I did exactly as told and slept in there for a while but found it far too cold to sleep comfortably. That's why I went into another room. I really didn't know it was your room, milord." Jealousy, too. This finally made the princess disperse her anger due to the situation clearing up. She's mistaken the guy in front of herself and realizes the lady behind herself was in fact the very fox she saved yesterday. "So it was you?" Puckering her lips to one side, Di Xiaowan could understand why this lady would behave in such a fashion since she's not of the demon realm. However, the pitiful image she portrayed still made her unhappy. In contrast, she prefers her sister-in-law's character who doesn't always act frail like a white flower. "Princess, I didn't stay in the manor yesterday." Pressing his hand onto Di Xiaowan's shoulder, state teachers firmly makes his case so she doesn't get the wrong idea. "But just now, did my stomp hurt you?" The demon princess asks, her eyes showing regret over her own rashness. Shaking his head, "It was my fault in causing your misunderstanding. You do what you think is right, there's no need for an apology." "Why would you say that?" There's a confused light in the girl's eye over this. "I did not arrange everything properly, that's why you got me wrong. You saw her coming out of my room, that's also my fault for not being more attentive." Caressing the sweet Dumbaklut's hair like a lover trying to console his sweetheart. "In my eyes, everything that you do is right. This includes your mischievous nature. I also like that about you. A little hurt by you only warms my heart." Flushing red like an apple, Di Xiaowan promptly took a step back to keep herself from showing that beating heart. She's almost losing herself due to the swelling emotions due to that heartfelt confession. "State teacher, why are you so nice to me?" For all these years, regardless of what she did, this man would always shelter her and clean up any trouble she made along the way. If in the past she resisted his approach due to not knowing his love for herself, then right now Di Xiaowan could say she's no longer of the same emotion and could somewhat accept the possibility of being his wife. Pushing forward since he could see there's an effect to his words, because there is only one of you, only one Di Xiaowan. If I'm not good to you, then who else am I supposed to be good to? Before I was too stringent, causing myself to painfully love you from behind in secret. Now I don't intend to hide my emotions anymore. Xiaowan, when your brother the king returns, I will ask him to marry you to me. Is that all right? Skipping a beat at the marriage proposal, the demon princess could literally sense the butterflies tingle from within. I haven't promised you yet. Xiaowan, you like your nephew Prince Xiachen a lot, right? Children at that age are the cutest. We can also have one of our own. At that point your son can stick to you day in and day out. Really? Looking surprised in the eye, the girl swiftly got all excited in the face with hopeful light. Okay, I also want a child like Xiachen who is obedient and good. Unbeknown to this sweet Dumbaklutz, her personality and gene would never be able to produce a child like the steam bun. Unfortunately, by the time she realizes this point and the deception by state teacher, her own child had already been born and became a bratty troublemaker that likes to pick on her instead of helping her. Jealousy? 3. Caressing her chin in happy thought. Out of consideration for the child's sake, I will temporarily agree with you. But if you dare take a concubine or sort, I will definitely break your leg. Di Xiaowan then waves her fist at him in a threatening manner to act all ferocious. However, it only made her all the cuter in the man's eye. Xiaowan, when have you ever seen you touch another woman? Unintimidated, state teacher happily clasped the girl's fist and causes her to go silent. It's as the man says, he's been alone for many years, never once touching another female in all the long years he's crushed on her. If I can do it before then, I can continue to do so all the way into the future. My eyes only have you. He reaffirms his stance by using that serious face. The demon princess openly giggled at that confession. Then I believe you. Seeing Di Xiaowan finally accepting his advances, state teacher's mood flew into an elated clarity, his face smiling like the spring breeze on a warm summer's day. However, not everything was as nice as it seems on the surface. Unlike the pair who had just accepted each other, the model lady behind them had started to make a very jealous gaze in which she hid by lowering her head. The Celestial Palace. Inside the courtyard of this once great structure, countless occupants are currently shivering in fear while kneeling on the ground before Bai Yan's might. Where are the keepers? She asks with narrowed eye, her voice condensing into a sharp blade that held them at the neck. The lady's aura was simply too immense right now, crushing and sending fear into these defenders who had lost all will to resist. To be fair, they are not cowards. If it meant fighting or being mocked as such, they would surely pick death over mockery. However, the keepers have already announced to the world that Bai Yan's the true owner of all heaven. Without her, there wouldn't be any hope for the celestial realm during the impending calamity. Your Highness, we really don't know where the keepers have gone. After they left that day, none of them returned. Don't know. Bai Yan sneered in a sarcastic tone. So they are turning into cowards and refusing to show their faces? They hurt so many of my family, do they really believe they can escape my wrath? So what if those old fools regret their actions? The crimes they committed on me and my family is unforgivable. Please, we really didn't know anything about what happened in the past, nor do we have any involvement in the event. Please spare us, we don't know anything. I will leave what happened 1,000 years ago aside for now. I can't remember all of the details either. Nevertheless, that doesn't absolve any of you the sins they committed. Over the millennium, how many demons and demonic creatures have you murdered in the meantime? As their queen, I have to avenge. The backs of these shivering defenders curled even lower, trying hard to hide their own existence in front of those words. I'll give you half a month to find them out for me, and if they don't come out after half a month, I'll destroy your celestial palace. Jealousy? 4. Roughly sweeping her sleeve to dismiss these hostages, Bai Yan turns back to First Elder who's standing in the rear. First Elder, we will stay and rest somewhere in the vicinity for the time being. I like to see how long those people can endure before they lose patience. Even if she needs to force them, She would shove them out of hiding. As you wish, the elder nodded. I will go arrange everything. Should I go inform the king then? Go ahead and message Deetsong. I won't be returning to the demon realm for the time being. I want to wait for them to fall into the net I set. It's fact that Bai Yen doesn't remember all the details of what transpired in her previous life, but that doesn't mean she couldn't imagine the level of carnage and death caused by these people standing at the peak of the celestial realm. It must have been a bloodbath for those demons left behind in this place. So what if they did it for the sake of the humans here? It doesn't absolve anything. Mother! Bai Xiachen tightly grasped onto the woman's hand, his lip forming a thin line. When are we going to pick up Ling Yen and Jin Tian? I miss them. How about this, Xiachen? We can go pick up your siblings with Dragoni right now since there's some free time. First elder, I'm leaving you in charge while I'm not around. Yes, Queen. The elder respectfully arches his fist in compliance. Let's go. Holding her son and daughter's hand, Bai Yen disappears into the far-off distance using her newfound powers. At the same time, First Elder also whisks his sleeve to leave, leaving only the defenders who are all nervously kneeling there in wait. Their backs had already been drenched in sweat, only now do they gasp in relief at being spared. Those plagues are finally gone, but what are we going to do if the keepers don't return in half a month? We shouldn't have attacked those demons before if we had known the demon realm would recover this quickly. One of the defender comments after regaining his nerve. What are you spouting? If it wasn't for the Celestial Lord stopping us from attacking the demon realm back then, we would have destroyed the demons as a whole. The reason we are in this state is because of the Lord to begin with. A younger man who had a bit more gall objected, his face showing indignation at being forced to beg. Humanity is stronger than those monsters. Why should we be humble to an inferior race? But that thought didn't last very long for the poor guy. In the next second after an older defender jabbed him in the waist, his eyes gawked and he started to stutter, Celestial Lord. Why did the Celestial Lord suddenly return? Standing at the front entrance was none other than Chu Egod. Like always, he's glisteningly pure with his long white hair fluttering in the wind, matched that with his emotionless temperament. He's the embodiment of a snowy blizzard. I've only been away for a while, yet you bunch dare to spread rumors? The blizzardly man casts a glance at the young defender who's openly shuddering at the added attention. Keeper Zun's decision, 1. Lord we. The youngster's face went deathly pale at the remark which was obviously directed at himself. Have Keeper Zun and them come see me. Chu Egod orders, not once giving the people here any more attention than he has to. That immediately brought the whole crowd into an awkward silence of embarrassment due not being able to comply. They already mentioned they didn't know to Bai Yen, now it only emphasized their inability when their own lord was asking the same question. It's shameful. Lord, we really don't know where the keepers are right now. Still indifferent and icy cold in his expression, then I will be here waiting for them. The keepers will eventually have to return one day. Also, do not let my whereabout be known to the public. I do not wish to be found. Once he's done giving this order, the man began to walk inside in an almost ghostly manner. He didn't make a single noise in his steps and literally became a blur due to how much distance he covered with every stride of those legs. Within the mountains, a reddish figure had just arrived on scene with her 2 children in tow. The place First Elder indicted should be here somewhere. Halting in her flight, Bai Yen scans the surrounding mountain peaks before locking onto the sound of laughter somewhere up ahead. I found it. Come, let's go pick up Jin Tian and Ling Yen. Meanwhile, at the same time not far away at the edge of a small pool of water, Ling Yen had been holding her tummy and laughing away due to her own brother's effort of acting silly and cute before herself. She's been depressed after the water dragon left and only got her mood back a while ago. Then out of nowhere, the lass's laughter ceased, replaced entirely by the look of surprise along that face once she noticed the new arrivals in the sky. Not waiting for the little glutton to react to his sister's odd behavior, Ling Yen promptly got up from the ground and threw herself at the woman who has now landed by their side. The baby didn't hesitate to wrap those small little arms around the lady's leg to gain a sense of comfort due to being all lonely inside. Wah! After 3 seconds of silence, That's how long the little demon princess could endure before breaking out into a tearful cry of grievance. Ling Yan, mother is back, so don't cry. Wrapping her hands around the crying baby girl, Bai Yan happily lifts her up to soothe that mood by patting her back and making a lolling sound. She knows her disappearance for so many days has affected her daughter, so the demon queen felt a strong level of regret and guilt for being a poor mother. Mother. The little glutton finally caught up with reality and toddled over as well. But unlike his twin sister, the baby boy didn't have such a big mood swing, so he didn't cry and only smiled at who has come. Keeper Zun's decision, too. Mother, I took good care of my sister during your absence. I also told her many jokes and happy things. Looking up after clinging onto the woman's thigh, the little glutton appeared all hopeful in the face, like he's looking for a praise. Jin Tian is awesome. Bai Yan praises him, roughing up his hair as compliment. Of course, Ling Yan is also awesome. The both of you are my pride. Every child of hers was her pride, so she's not just saying it for fun. Mother, Ling Yan puckers her lips, those eyes still rolling with tears. Do you not want me anymore? Why did you leave me at this place? Ooh, you must have found another baby fox outside. That's why you don't want Ling Yan anymore. Bai Yan's forehead inevitably twitched at that comment. She's got an aching suspicion that the sentence sounded familiar, as if someone already said it before. Subconsciously, the lady sneaks a glance over to the steam bun who's next to herself. Thankfully, Bai Xiachen had his attention fully fixated on that little sister of his right now, otherwise he might just be able to pick up on the weird look he's getting. Don't cry, Ling Yan, mother did not abandon you, we only had something to do. Aren't we back now? We're here to pick you and Jin Tian up. Bai Xiachen says, moving his hand to wipe off the peachy baby's tear whom he cherished as the greatest treasure. Not looking so sad anymore after hearing Big Brother's consoling words, the baby princess faces her own mother for confirmation. Really? Mother is here to bring me and second brother home? You're not leaving us again? It's the first time this baby girl's been away from her mother for so long. A child needs their parent around, especially at such a young age. Of course it's true. Bai Xiachen continues to soothe his little sister using that extremely gentle voice. On the other hand, the little glutton's been staring up at his family hoping for some attention as well. When he discovered there's none to be had, the chubby little baby boy immediately broke out into a crying fit to get that. Startled by the outburst of tears, the steam bun furrows his nose and asked, "What are you crying about? I also miss mother and Big Brother. I also want Big Brother to hug me." Bai Xiachen's expression got very serious then. Have you forgotten what I taught you before? Men do not cry easy. As a man, how can you cry so easily? Taken aback by the lecture, the little glutton only then remembers the lesson. Okay, I won't cry anymore. Softening up after seeing how aggrieved and pitiful his little brother remains on the surface, Bai Xiachen moves forward to give him a hug anyways. Jin Tian, you will be the king of the demon realm one day. You can't act so weak. But you did well in taking care of your sister while we were away, so this is your reward. Giggling in happy note after getting the praise he wanted, Jin Tian hurriedly wipes his tears away. I am a man, I won't cry, I will protect mother and Ling Yan. Now that's a good man of our demon realm. Patting his little brother's head as a praise again after hearing what he wanted, I'm looking forward to your success. I will also tell father to pass the throne to you as soon as possible. Really? Jin Tian's eyes shined with light, forming a crescent shape to emphasize his own cuteness and desire for that position. He couldn't wait for that day and started to suckle his own finger like a little glutton that he was. However, the deception told to him about being able to eat as much food as he pleases once he's king remains a lie. By the time the poor boy realizes this pit set up by his own family, it's already too late and he's working his butt off day in and day out, starving himself thin compared to this lovely childhood he enjoys today. Jin Tian, Ling Yan, I want to introduce you to someone. Bai Yan went ahead to bring Dragoni over to her side for the introduction. This is your older sister, her name is Dragoni. Keeper Zun's decision, 3. Dragoni nervously rubbed her little hand as she took in the two adorable babies. On several times already, she wanted to pinch their lovely face due to how cute they were. The only reason she hasn't was due to fear of breaking them like a toy doll. That's how delicate those two are in her eye. Hello, Sister Dragoni. Di Ling Yen politely greets the girl, her little face bright with smile. On the other hand, Jin Tian only had a dull look as he surveyed the older girl before turning back to Bai Yen with a question. Mother, how come Big Sister's name is not the same as ours? And why is she so pretty? Although the appearance of the young dragoness couldn't be compared to Bai Yan's scale, she's nevertheless starting to shine in her own way after growing older during this period. Mother, Dragoni urgently spoke, can I touch them? They're so cute. Will I accidentally break them if I do? Black lines instantly filled Bai Yan's face. They are not dolls, how you break them? Feel free to touch your own siblings, they will be all right. Okay. Dragoni instantly breaks into a huge smile, carefully extending her hand to first caress the baby girl's cheek. I touched it. At contact, she froze into a stiff iceberg as her heart raced with incredible excitement. In the past, the dragoness also had her own family, an older sister as well. However, that family could never be considered a family. Forget about being close, they wouldn't even let Dragoni get close, let alone have any physical contact. And now she finally has a little and adorable sister. Unfazed by the cold finger touching her own cheek, Di Ling Yen only stared up at the girl with her own curious gaze. This big sister is so strange. She clearly wants to give me a hug, why is she not doing so? I want a hug. Afterwards, Dragoni continues with her gesture and gave the little glutton a rub on the head as well. This time around, the dragoness became even more excited, bordering on the line of melting away due to her own joy. Sister Dragoni, can you give me a hug? Di Ling Yen finally couldn't stand it anymore and suggested this. She's biting her own thumb in hope of getting her wish. Okay, Dragoni sounded flustered at first but quickly came back to herself. Crouching down, she plucks the peachy girl up into her arms and drew a burst of giggle from Di Ling Yen as they snuggled their cheeks against one another. To one side where Winger's been standing the entire time appeared proud as he silently watched this scene. He also picked up on the desire from the dragoness and saw how easily the baby princess was able to lock onto that emotion as well. As expected of the queen's daughter, she's already showing such a huge heart despite being so young. Such a sensible and intelligent girl, how can Yunruo she ever think about hurting her in the first place? It's getting late, let's leave now. Scanning her 4 children, Bai Yen felt so pleased to have such a big family. Xiaochen, you are in charge from now on if I'm not around, can you do that? Of course, mother, you count on me. Puffing up his chest, the steam bun proudly answers the call. Pleased by her eldest son's reply, Bai Yen went ahead to reach out with her hand to hold onto Dragoni and his for departure. That leaves only the little glutton who's not being led yet. Jin Tian, you keep up okay? Keeper Zun's decision, 4. The little glutton nodded heavily and without complaint as he toddled from behind. The boy couldn't walk as fast as his older brother, so he had to pace himself hard in order to keep up. Even so, Jin Tian's not unhappy. After all, he's a man of the family, right? A man must protect the females of the group, and he's going to be king someday. On the other end of Celestial Realm, inside a cave, several old elders are sitting around a campfire, their mood damp and dreary due to the heavy air hovering above their heads. I'm sure all of you have already heard of what's happening out there. Bai Yen wants to force us out, otherwise she won't let those remaining in the Celestial Palace free. Have we really come to the end of the road? Keeper Yellow cocks a self-mocking smirk, his eyes full of sorrow. Those of them who were once high at the top has now been reduced to rats scurrying around in the caves. How could he not be sad? If not, how about we seek Yunruo Shi? The one suggesting that never got to finish his words though because Keeper Ling, who's the grumpiest of the bunch, promptly cut him off with a punch against the cave wall. Shut up. Did you forget she's the one that placed us in this state? I will never forgive her, never forgive what she did to us and everyone else. The higher the hope, the stronger the disappointment. He gave far too much love to the old witch and sacrificed far too much to protect that deceitful woman. And for what? Nothing but betrayal and deception in the end. How could this grumpy keeper ever forgive such an existence? The half-month deadline is soon upon us. We've worked so hard for what? It's for the Celestial Realm. Even if the ending is death, I must meet with Bai Yen again. Keeper Zun, who's the kindest of the bunch, stood up, his fist a tight clench as he inhaled deeply to ready himself. Keeper Zun, do you believe she will really forgive us after all we've done to her? Keeper Yellow smiled helplessly. Before they would dare bargain with the demon realm because they had the supposed master of the amulet on their side. The group believed Bai Yen and Di Tsong would agree to their terms for the sake of the demon realm's safety. But right now, without that bargaining chip, what qualification do they have left to barter? It doesn't matter, I'm going to try anyways. I and Keeper Ling will handle this matter in person. The rest of you wait here. Keeper Zun's eye grew firm and strong after saying that. Keeper Yellow appeared taken aback by the proclamation. Hurrying to speak, you're serious about this? I still believe we should retain our strength for the impending battle. No, we can't wait until that day comes, the risk is far too high. If I and Keeper Ling's life can be used to persuade Bai Yen in saving this world, then our death would be more than worth it. Then, under the watchful eye of others, he strode out of the cave like a brave soldier meeting his maker. Keeper Ling didn't cower away either. Without looking back, this grumpy elder who's known to have an attitude followed suit. What do you all think? Will Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun be able to change Bai Yan's mind and drop her hatred? The one who suggested to turn to Yun Ruo Shi before spoke again. Keeper Yellow, the de facto leader remaining, sank in his eyes at the idea. They have both made the decision to die if they must in their venture, there's no telling what will happen. I do know Keeper Ling must be there if there's any chance for this plan to work. It was he who killed Bai Yen, and it was he who killed the unborn baby in her belly. If Keeper Ling dies, then maybe the hatred could be lifted. As to why Keeper Zun also went, I'm sure you know the temperament of Keeper Ling. Someone must be there to help douse the flame somehow during the talk. Negotiation? 1. Inside an inn that's located not far from where the Celestial Palace was located, Bai Yen lies comfortably atop of a soft comfy bed as she snuggled with the small meat bun in her blossom. Di Jin Tian very much enjoyed this intimate moment with his mother, of course, but as he blinked and blinked due to the comfortable massage he's getting, his tummy just had to give in to his hunger and began to growl again and again. This causes his small happy face to pucker into a grieving frown. You're hungry already? Bai Yen asks with a tenderly smile after hearing the noise. Biting his thumb as he nodded, Mother, I am hungry, go ahead and ask your big brother to take you then, Mother here has something to do while you eat. Loosening her hand around the young baby, Bai Yen didn't find it disappointing to lose her soft marshmallow. In return for the freedom, the little glutton did what any child would do and happily smooched the mother on her cheek, thus smothering the face with his saliva. He's too excited at the prospect of being able to eat all those delicious delicacies. Mother, I'll go find Big Brother then. After you're done, come back and be my hug pillow. This little guy's soft body feels so good. Now that Xianxia is older, it's only normal for him to be the replacement for Bai Yan's huggies. The premise is that Di Tsong's not around, of course. And sure enough, Jin Tian didn't disappoint. Even before he left, the way he toddled out of the room was absolutely adorable. In the rolling strides he did, similar to a baby polar bear. For a moment, Bai Yen wondered if he's really a fox or not. Foxes don't eat as much as he does and isn't as silly. Suddenly, two familiar energy signatures started to draw near, causing the lady in the room to spartan up in the face. Come in, bang. With a gush of wind blowing the door open, two old seniors appeared before the host. In light of the intrusion, Bai Yen remains lazy, looking on the bed like she didn't have a care in the world. On the other hand, Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun was less assured despite being the outsider. They were dazzled by how incredibly stunning this woman has become after her return. Whether it be the air of temperament, this demon queen has changed and became more magnificent than ever before. If only we didn't do what we did back then. Perhaps Bai Yen would already be the Lord's wife. Bai Yen, I heard you're looking for me. Speaking first was Keeper Ling. However, his mouth didn't get to run further than this due to his counterpart shooting him an eyeful to be quiet. Everyone knows how rude the grumpy elder could get, so Keeper Zun wanted to shut that down before they start the negotiation. Supporting her head with a hand, Bai Yen coldly smirks at the pair before starting. It seems there is quite a few missing among you. Why did they not come out? Changing in his face, Keeper Zun inhaled deeply in order to suppress the inner panic. Your Highness, we are here to talk. Without indication, Bai Yen bursts into a derisive laugh. Talk? Have you mistaken something about me? I came back to get revenge, not to talk. Keeper Zun's heart clenched into a mass of unease. Your Highness, I know you will not let us go, that is why we are here to offer our heads. I only hope that once we die, you will forgive the past and protect the celestial realm. Hearing this, Bai Yen finally pulled herself up from the soft comfy bed and confronted the two keepers. First, my enemies are not just with you two. 1,000 years ago, many of you colluded together to murder me and those close to me. What makes you think I will let those people go? Secondly, I can promise to not do anything to the rest of the celestial realm, but you want me to protect them? On what grounds should I do that? Negotiation? 2. In simpler terms, she's only promised not to attack those from the celestial realm. Never did she say those demons wouldn't do anything as retaliation on their own. The debt has been piling up for a millennium. There's no way blood wouldn't be shed once things start rolling. After all, a simple word of forgiveness could never atone for a sin. That would be the equivalent of murder and getting off scot-free after a slap on the wrist. Keeper Zun's mouth stammered for a proper response. He thought of countless possibilities before coming, but he never thought Bai Yen would directly refuse their request so quickly. Your Highness, the ones who did wrong is us. The rest of the celestial realm is innocent. Smile sarcastically, innocent? If they're innocent, then what about those demons and demonic beasts? So just because they're different that they deserve to die at those so-called innocent hands? That brought Keeper Zun to a stall, unable to counteract that argument. In his mind, those animals have always been there for them to kill, to use, a resource to be tapped when needed. How could he find a proper argument in defending their stance without offending this lady first? Bai Yen, Keeper Ling, who's the grumpy one, could tell his counterpart has lost the ability to negotiate. Glaring at the lady as he spoke, I know you hate us to the bone. Tell us what you want then, we only ask you protect the celestial realm afterwards. Squinting her eyes into a narrow slit, Bai Yen glared at the old man in reply, I want Azure Dragon and White Tiger to have never needed to die and reincarnate. I also want my husband to not have needed to be in coma because he used his soul to reform my own. I also want my grandfather from the Celestial Palace to have never lost his sanity. The more she went over the past, the more her hands were clenching into a deathly grip. I'd rather not have had to die and experience the pain of life and death. Can you do all of that? If you can change all that, then I'll help the celestial realm. Even though she's found White Tiger and Azure Dragon again in this life, it still doesn't change the fact that they died and has been reincarnated into a new. Then there's also her unborn child from the previous life. That fetus bore so much resentment that it permeated into this era, such emotion and pain. How could she as a mother not demand justice? Bai Yen, you really can't shelter the lives of celestial realm after me and Keeper Zun offer our lives? Keeper Ling asks again, his voice full of stubbornness. Smirking in her face, Bai Yen only had one word for this grumpy old bone, no. Then pausing to take a look around like she's trying to make a point, and look around, does it appear I wouldn't be able to take your lives on my own? Locating your whereabouts was just a matter of time. Why should I make a deal when it's something within my own reach? This demon queen has never been one to shelter her enemies. Never in the past, and never in the present. Of course, the celestial realm won't disappear. I have no intention of destroying this place. There are plenty of humans from the human world who will eventually ascend into immortality. At that point, both demons and celestials will coexist without grudge. The only difference would be you people being gone. Her family and friends from the human world are the most likely candidates to achieve ascension. By that time, she would make this realm suitable and welcoming to all. There won't be such a thing as evil and good based on race, only personal deeds that dictating one's future. Negotiation? 3. Keeper Ling's hand began to tighten into a tense ball after losing his patience. In that case, there is nothing more to talk about between us. To think you're such a cold-hearted person who would sacrifice so many innocent lives just for your own desire. It's true that many in the celestial realm harmed her, but there are also countless more who did nothing at all, nothing. How did her heart become so cold and hard? Bai Yan sneered even harder at the reprimand. No matter how cold and hard my heart becomes, it's nothing compared to the likes of you. That's why even if you die, it won't erase anything. Seeing the grumpy Ling was about to lash out now, Keeper Zun, who's been quiet, immediately tugged at his counterpart to stop. Turning back to the Demon Queen, this kind elder sighs as he spoke. Bai Yan, back when you were with us in the celestial realm, we really did look at you with our sincerity. Unfortunately, fate likes to toy with those living. We too never thought fate would pan out that way and cause so much hurt towards you. But even if we regret it now, it's already too late. Making a bittersweet smile at the thought, I know you won't forgive us, and that's within your right and reason, we know that. We only hope you can let us die with dignity. Stepping back to her bed to take a seat, Bai Yan didn't appear fazed by the determination shown by the two elders and instead sneered some more. All right, you can do that. I do not want to ever see the existence of the Celestial Palace again. The Celestial Palace is bound to topple, just a matter of when and who does it. Trembling in his hand for the inevitable, Keeper Zun slowly closes those eyes for one last time and smashed down at his own head after gathering energy. Boom. He did not hold back at all from the strike, smashing heavily into the floorboard and leaving him lifeless and dead. Bai Yan didn't get moved though by this sheer will of conviction, nay, instead she turned to face Keeper Ling, who didn't move yet. Shivering at what has come to pass for his counterpart, the grumpy elders spoke apprehensively. Bai Yan, you really can't help the celestial realm? No, she bluntly answers him and refuses to waste more words. That finally did it. Like being brought to the edge of a cliff, Keeper Ling breaks out into a hysterical laughing fit that dropped the temperature of the room down a notch. I see. I know you won't let me go even if I don't commit suicide. Suddenly, the old elder's eye turned sharp and determined. However, I want to tell you this before my death. Yun Ruo, she isn't dead. She's not only alive, she's also being backed by a very powerful entity, ha. As he laughed away, so did the palm of his hand strike down from above, smashing his brains out and causing both eye and mouth to spill blood while dropping to the ground. Just like that, under the witnessing ray of the shining sun seeping through the open window, two lifeless bodies of some of the strongest entities here in this world finally came to an end, closing their chapter in the history books for good. Uncaring as she lazily stretched her arms at the finished sight, Bai Yan spoke with indifference. First Elder, take these corpses and toss them back to the Celestial Palace. Let them deal with their bodies if they want. Yes, Your Highness. Gradually revealing himself from a shadier part of the yard was none other than the leading demon elder. He wasted no time in picking up the still warm sacks of flesh with his bare hands to leave. Alone again now after having her room cleaned, Bai Yan didn't go anywhere afterwards. She knows someone's coming, a familiar someone that she's been wanting to see after returning to this world. And sure enough, after a couple of minutes, a tall, standing figure of warmth appears before herself after descending from the sky. Black Turtle. Contract Black Turtle, Fun, Queen. Black Turtle arches his fist and greets Bai Yan, his smiling face as handsome as ever. Now that you back, I ask that you contract with me again and make me your familiar. Slowly getting up from her seat, Black Turtle, how much of the past do you remember? Even though the Celestial Palace would soon become a thing of the past, Bai Yan's nevertheless unable to remember all the details from the previous life. All this Demon Queen knows was that they're the ones that caused her friends and family to separate, the cause of all her pain and suffering, so getting any more detail would be helpful. I don't know anything. The charming human form of the sacred turtle frowns. I only got the visions and fragmented dreams from Earth to go by. In those fragments, I saw you, the king, and a man. I couldn't make out that person's face clearly, but I know he's the one. Who killed me? Bai Yan's finger visibly trembled at that last bit. Gently closing her eyes, a scene gradually reappears in the lady's head. It's a battlefield. Specifically the Battle of Azure Dragon before his death. The young dragon general was dazzling and peerless in his fight against the enemy, but that shining son of a man still fell victim to a backstabbing sword from the rear. a spot in which he trusted to be safeguarded thanks to his own allies watching it. Do you mean, besides the Celestial Palace, we also have other enemies in this celestial realm? Bai Yan understands now the one who murdered her precious friends was someone they trusted. I don't know, shook the guy's head. I can't remember anything. I only know you are my mistress and that person is close to you. As for anything else, I can't remember anymore. Bai Yan did not continue her inquiry anymore, knowing her efforts would be futile since the guy was also a reincarnation like herself. Perhaps the only person left who knows the full story would be Black Turtle. I promised Suzaku that I will bring everyone to her place on the Demon Mountain if I gather all of you. She is waiting for us now. I understand. Although Black Turtle couldn't remember anything still, these people whom he cherished the most remains firmly plastered in his heart. As a result, his lips had formed a warm smile without deliberately doing so at the mention of that bird. Now let's start the contract. Bai Yan closes her eyes to begin after saying that, allowing the man's finger to reach over to touch her forehead. Instantly, a surge of energy flowed through into the lady's mind, imprinting something between the two of them and locking their souls together. Under the blood-colored sky, a young girl dressed in white stood staring down at the stubborn-looking young teen lying in front of herself. What's your name? The girl's eyes showed pity, yet it was crisp and easy to the ear in light of the attitude. The teenager's eyes were stubborn, black-white. Black-white? Your name is really strange. Why is it both white and black? Smiling with her huge grin as she squatted downwards, I can save you, but you must follow me from now on, okay? Why? Because you are a black turtle, and the only remaining one at that. If you follow me, then I won't let anyone hurt you again. You follow me and I won't let anyone hurt you again. The teenager's heart shuddered at the idea, his stubborn gaze finally taking a closer look at the girl's face to discern the truth in that statement. Immediately, their focus locked and the young lad found himself moved by that smile. Without control, he nods and sealed the deal. Contract Black Turtle, 2. All right, I will follow you. In this life, as long as you don't abandon me, then I won't abandon you even in death. The teen didn't think much of his vow that day, but he really would die for her eventually somewhere into the future. Bai Yan silently stood there as she watched the scenes flashed before herself. First it was the original meeting of herself and Black Turtle, then through their growth and eventually the final battle in the celestial realm where the sky has been stained with blood. I, Black-White, promised her I will use my life to defend her. Replacing that stubborn young teen with attitude was now a tall, standing and upright man who carried an air of reliability and strength. From the day she took him in, Black-White has vowed to follow this woman for life. That's why, in spite of the terrible odds and numerous injuries along his body, this last surviving member of the Black Turtle clan would never yield or submit before the enemy. At this sight, Bai Yan's heart instinctively clenched up and wanted to help. But the lady knew she couldn't move. In fact, she could do nothing here. This wasn't real, she knew that, but it doesn't change the fact that her emotions are swirling out of control. Thankfully, sanity had the better grip in this case, otherwise it would beat the whole purpose of falling into this state again of seeing the past. Doing nothing as the battle raged onwards, growing fiercer and deadlier with each passing minute, it soon became clear neither side could really come out on top. Unlike the other three sacred beasts, Black Turtle had the strongest defenses of them all. Even when outnumbered, the attacks aren't able to truly penetrate his skin. That was until he came. From out of the blue, without anyone noticing on the battlefield, a powerful force reared its ugly head out from behind Black-White's view. It's a blade comprised of condensed air, a silent yet deadly strike that penetrated straight into the man's heart and plowing a hole right through that chest where blood sprayed out like a fountain in its wake. In light of the lethal injury, the demon general didn't fall. Instead, he fixed his gaze upwards and onto the clouds where a mysterious figure floated. In his eye, there's shock, disbelief, but more were that of sorrowful pain at the recognition. Bai Yan followed this gaze, of course. In her discovery, the person responsible for this sudden attack appeared hazy and shrouded behind a cover of mist in her view. She wanted to get a better look, finally moving her legs to go forwards. Unfortunately, like all the times in the past, This was when her consciousness got dragged back out from the deep state. Black-white, standing there with a solemn attitude after recognizing where she's at. I will find out who that person is, I promise you. She never accepts betrayal, especially those whom she trusts. I believe in you, mistress. Because of the contract they just formed, Black-White had changed his way of addressing this demon queen and no longer called her his queen. During this period, you don't need to stay with me, go protect my children instead. If I'm not mistaken, it won't be long before that enemy begins to move against us. The only thing she couldn't put down was her children, especially by Xianxia who has been with her the longest. Yes, mistress. Demon Realm. A blood-colored moon hung high in the sky as Chu-I, the Holy Land's princess, strode through the open streets. She's feeling rather creeped out right now due to the strange chills running through her back. This demon realm is so scary, just like Di Xiaowan's older brother. No wonder that guy's so frightening. Contract Black Turtle, 3. But we have no other option? Lan Xiaoyan, younger cousin, pinches her lips to one side. Auntie Ning already said Bai Yen cousin is in the demon realm, that's why I snuck out of home to find her. Since the day where Bai Yen disappeared from the face of this world, Bai Ning, who's the lady's own mother, had gone back to the human world where the rest of the family resides. There, it's where she came to front with her daughter's miserable childhood and the mistake she had committed on Bai Yen. It's also there where the woman discovered the tragic years her husband endured and of how close the man suffered a mental breakdown. Worst of all, she couldn't even make amends for all the years of being gone due to both being missing. Her daughter disappeared before her very eyes, and her husband Yun Feng had gone out to search for her whereabouts with no news of his current location. It's irony at its finest. Xiaoyan, let's explore this place first and ask for directions to the Demon Palace. We need to find Di Xiaowan before we continue since this is her turf. They are the infamous earth-shattering 333. It wouldn't be proper if they didn't have the third within their group. Looking back at things, it's been a long while since they've been temporarily disbanded. You're right. Lan Xiaoyan quickly scans the street and fixed her eyes on a passing girl who appeared similar in age. Miss, can I ask you for direction to the palace? Coincidentally, the one being spoken to here was none other than Huang Xiaoying, the tigress and also self-proclaimed fiancé of Little Rice the White Tiger. Ever since that male feline left by following Bai Yan's footstep into the celestial realm, this poor love-struck tigress had been moody and unhappy for not being taken along. So, imagine some random girl coming up to herself with that lovely little face and asking for directions to her fiancé's home. There's no way she wouldn't be on guard. You're a human? She could tell by taking a quick sniff of their scent. We're here to find Di Xiaowan. Can you show us the way? Chu-I changed her old arrogant temperament and asked politely. This wasn't her home nor the human world. There wouldn't be her older brother here to watch over herself. When visiting, it's only proper to change her manners in accordance with the locals. Who are you to the queen? Lan Xiaoyan blinked and blinked her beautiful eyes, slightly taken aback by that title. Do you mean Bai Yen? She's my cousin. In an instant, Huang Xiaoying's attitude flipped a 180 and showed excited joy. Then you know my future husband? Your future husband? Chu-I exchanged a glance with her partner in crime and made a skeptical face. What is this strange demoness talking about? Her future husband? Who is that? Getting all shy at the counter-question, the tigress appears all red in the cheeks as she spoke. My future husband is Little Rice. Like thunder rolling across the sky, Chu-I and Lan Xiaoyan were both left gawking on the spot. The woman in front of us is Little Rice's fiancé? But he is so young, how did he get hooked up with someone already? However, Little Rice hasn't accepted me yet, but no worries, I won't give up. Huang Xiaoying cocked a confident grin at the two girls to show her determination. Can both of you give some good words on my behalf to Her Highness and Little Rice? I can steal all of my pa's treasure and give it to you if you do. Contract Black Turtle, 4. In order to pursue her husband, Huang Xiaoying would go to any lengths at this point. Pity though the main tiger of the show wasn't around to see this, otherwise it would be a real showstopper. That's fine. Chu grasped onto the tigress's hand in support. I'm looking forward to the day where you and Little Rice marry. Now can you take us to Di Xiaowan? We got something to discuss with her. Of course. Huang Xiaoying's smile grew more brilliant at the future, but you must help me persuade little Rice for sure though. Aside from being a little older than he is, I'm perfectly good for a wife. Older? Chu eyed the tigress with an examining look, unable to discern the actual age of this lady due to that youthful face. Little Rice hates it that I'm older than he is, that's why he won't accept me. She puckers her lip like an aggrieved wife waiting for her man to return. Can I ask, how old are you exactly? Huang Xiaoying stretched out a finger as a reply. 1 year old. 1 year older is nothing. Why would little Rice dislike her? She shook her head at the guess. Then, 10 years older? 10 years older is a bit of a stretch, but it's not impossible, right? She shakes that head again. I am 100 years older. Boom. 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 Rocked by the thundering explosion in her own head, Chu didn't even know how to respond to this revelation. 100 years old, at this age, she's even older than my grandpa. No wonder little Rice is so reluctant. Actually, I'm still considered young. Take Di Xiaowan for example. My impression of her is that she's 100 years old, but First Elder told me the princess is already a millennium in age. Huan Xiaoying pinches her lip into a flat line as she hung her head depressingly. Why is little Rice refusing my advances? I don't get it. An awkward and shocked smile gripped onto Lan Xiaoyun's face like a haunted ghost. Di Xiaowan is 1,000 years old. She's 1,000 years old. And I just found that out. Demon Palace. Sitting at the edge of her own room's balcony, Di Xiaowan the demon princess was currently propping her chin against those hands and staring up into the blood-colored moon. Big Bro has been gone for a few days already. Why hasn't he returned with sister-in-law and Xianxia yet? I haven't seen them for so long time. Your Royal Highness, a palace maid hurriedly ran over then to make a report. Miss Huang Xiaoying of the Tiger Clan has come to seek an audience. Huang Xiaoying? What is she coming to see me for? I'm not seeing her, I'm not. I won't see anyone but my sister-in-law and new niece. Huffing a snort, she shakes her head back and forth to emphasize her droopy mood. But Huang Xiaoying brought 2 girls with her. They claim you and them are the earth-shattering 333. Before the palace maid could even finish her words, Di Xiaowan had already bolted out of there, leaving only a stunned-looking messenger in the rear coughing from the dust created. Chui Lan Xiaoyan. Even from afar, the demon princess could already recognize those 2 humans standing there. Without delay, she ran over to give each a hearty hug. How did you both get here, and how did you get to the demon realm? Why didn't you send me a message? I could have had someone go pick you 2 up. At first the 2 princesses of their own home were at odds with each other, but after some further mingling and fighting, Chu-yi and Di Xiaowan were now close friends. As the old saying goes, one doesn't get to know one another unless they fight, which created their profound friendship. Of course, there's also the important factor of Chu-yi giving up on helping Chu Yifeng from pursuing Bai Yan. Otherwise, any friendship would mean squat in this case. Contract Black Turtle, 5. According to reason, Huang Xiaoying the tigress should have been the closest relationship with the demon princess, but upon watching Di Xiaowan and Chu Yi's friendly bickering, she just couldn't help but get a little jealous inside. Di Xiaowan, how come I don't see Bai Yan around? Where is she? Chu Yi kept looking around but found none of the reason for which they came to this place. Displeased in her voice, how come she's coming out to meet us? I heard from Bai Yan's mother that she's currently in the demon realm. Stalling for a second due to the question, the demon princess quickly came back to her senses and blurted out the truth. Huh? Why would she say that? Bai Yan is not in the demon realm. She's currently missing. What? Chu Yi's heart flew into a tense shock at the news. Showing a pale face, Bai Yan's missing? How can that be? Di Xiaowan, you better not be hiding her from us. I refuse to believe she's missing. I refuse to believe that. Xiaowan, why is my cousin missing? Lan Xiaoyan also appeared flustered with panic. Pressing her hands onto the demon princess's shoulder, tell me right now the last known location of her whereabout, I'll go look for her right away. If Grandpa finds out, then he will likely collapse from the shock. Staying silent for a while longer, The demon princess finally got it and quickly remedied her own words. Don't worry and let me finish before going all crazy on me. Bai Yan is missing, that's true. However, she came back already. Both human girls were frozen in their faces due to the sudden twist. Can you not say stuff halfway and leave it hanging? Don't you know it will scare us to death? You must have done this on purpose. Chu huffs and huffs. You must be jealous of me that I got to share beds with Bai Yan over the years. That's why you deliberately left us hanging. It's your way of getting payback. Do you know you almost scared me death by telling us she's missing? Di Xiaowan's expression instantly turned green with envy. You and sister-in-law got to share a bed together? The Holy Land princess proudly cocks her chin up as a confirming reply. Of course, I not only got to share a bed with Bai Yan, I also got to snuggle with Xianxia at night and hold him like a soft pillow. Do you know how soft and cute he was when sleeping? Boom. In her fit of rage, the demon princess threw a punch directly at her friend who's clearly gloating. However, the demon girl also knew her powers were more than anyone could take since it's been recovered. Therefore, she made sure to miss by hitting the palace wall in the rear instead and smashing it apart. I don't care. When sister-in-law comes back, I also want to sleep with her. I'm going to snuggle with Xianxia for at least a month before I stop. This time it was Lan Xiaoyan who spoke up. But aren't you afraid of your older brother? Chu Yi's older brother isn't scary, that's why she got away with it. If your brother the Demon King finds out, I'm sure he will rope you up and beat you. This time Di Xiaowan really wanted to cry tears of foul play. These friends, why do they always have to remind me of my mean brother? But Chu Yi got to sleep with my sister-in-law. The more she thought, the more unbalanced her heart became, which nearly pushed this demon princess over the edge in insanity. Acting like she's oblivious to her friend's annoyance, Chu Yi continues to gloat by adding salt to the wound. Bai Yan's body is so soft and smooth, oh how I miss it. Do you know how white her skin is? I couldn't even begin to describe how nice. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you know. Chu Yi. Di Xiaowan grinds her teeth in frustration, unable to do a thing aside from that death glare. Contract Black Turtle, 6. Suddenly, she grinned and got a sinister smile on that face. I will tell my big bro about what you said. This time it was Chu Yi's turn to look stiff. Emerging from the girl's mind was that grimly cold expression of a man, sneering and bring chill down her spine. I'm just kidding, please don't tell your brother this. I'm a little scared of him. Such a strong and possessive man. If he finds out she had shared a bed with Bai Yan, then he would never let her get close again. Seeing she's won this quibble, Di Xiaowan proudly cocks her chin high to gloat. Let's see you gloat before me again. I can't fight with you anymore, but when it comes to verbal exchanges, you're not my opponent. Pumping those cheeks up in frustration, Chu Yi suddenly got the sensation that she's been disgraced by this sweet dumbaklutz. However, she's not glum enough to start throwing a tantrum. Regardless of what's going on or into the future, it doesn't change the fact that she got to sleep with Bai Yan and use Xianxia as a snuggle pillow. That fact alone was enough to continue her superiority over the demon princess. Di Xiaowan naturally got what her friend was thinking since she's not getting the sort of expected reaction. But then right before more words could be exchanged, a handsome and elegant face suddenly came into the girl's view. Happily calling him out, "State teacher." Without surprise or hesitation, the man met the call by slowly walking over, never once shifting his gaze away from the one woman whom he has an eye for. Lan Xiaoyun and Chu Yi also noticed the newcomer then. Who wouldn't when their sweet dumbaklutz was acting so happy and excited? In that instant when they saw him, both girls were absolutely blown away. Elegant, pristine, untouchable, these were merely the sort of words that came to mind against the man's aura. Coupled with the undisguised level of doting state teacher was making towards their friend, both of them were suddenly burning with the flare of being nosy brats waiting for the gossip to fly. Lan Xiaoyun elbows her friend and coughed a laugh. Isn't this the same state teacher Xiaowan always talk about? From what I can see by having them stand together, they're a perfect match. Back over in the human world, the demon princess would constantly blab her mouth away about her precious state teacher and of how nice he was to herself. They would be blind to not pick up the sort of passion within those words. Pity Di Xiaowan herself was such a sweet dumbaklutz, otherwise she too would realize her own emotions. Chu didn't reply right away, instead caressed her chin while inspecting the elegant man. I've always been very good at discerning a person. Just look at the guy's interest in our Xiaowan. She is not going to get away from him, she's his for sure. The whispering conversation between the two didn't rouse much of a stir, rather it only made the man in question happier at the appraisal. These two are your friends? State teacher asks with his iconic gentle voice. Yes, nodded the demon princess, they are my friends from the human world. One is my sister-in-law's cousin, and the other is the dummy who's trying to steal my sister-in-law. Chu Yi's face instantly turned black like the bottom of a roast pan. What does she mean by the dummy who's trying to steal her sister-in-law? It's clearly her who stole Bai Yan away from me. I knew Bai Yan first, I'm first. You have always had few true friends, aside from Huang Xiaoying, these two are the only ones. Don't assume Di Xiaowan dislikes the tigress due to the sort of words she used in their conversation. They are in fact actual friends, the very few friends the demon princess actually had in this world. As for why there are so little, it's because most are either getting close in order to use the princess or get close to Di Tsong using this channel. They aren't to be trusted. With a big smile, the girl wanted to speak again to introduce her friends to this one man whom she trusted. However, the wonderful mood was promptly foiled on by the frail and weak-looking female coming over from the entrance. Contract Black Turtle, 7, Your Highness. This bowing individual with that outstanding bodily features would be none other than the small fox brought back the other day, her name Qiuyu. State teacher, Di Xiaowan ignored the stunning model of a female and turned to the man who has come as well. Has she been following you around? Over the years, state teacher has never been with another female, much less bring them around wherever he went. There's no way the princess wouldn't have strange ideas about the situation in this case. Naturally able to pick up on his crush's unhappy mood, the man soothes her by caressing that small head with his spoiling gesture. Didn't you say you will trust me? Nodding after a brief startle due to the intimate contact. I did. Yes, I should believe in state teacher. There's no way he would treat others differently. It's just that. As soon as that idea came to mind, her heart flared with heat due to how shocked she was inside. It can't be. I also have state teacher in my heart? Otherwise, why else would I care if he has someone by his side? I only accepted him because I wanted a cute little baby. Go ahead and take your friends for a good stroll. I got a surprise for you later once you get back. Gentle in his smile, the man suggests after seeing the others standing around doing nothing. Okay, Di Xiaowan giggles in her smiling face, glistening with hope for the supposed surprise. Then I'll wait for it. Di Xiaowan, let's go, I'll show you around my home. After saying this, the princess pulled both her friends along and left, leaving only the tigress cluelessly standing around in the background. Huang Xiaoying understood she's been forgotten of course, but instead of being depressed at being left behind, she's more intrigued by the sparks flying between the princess and state teacher just now. Oh, I need to get this information back to Pa and grandmother. This is huge news. Without delay, the tigress promptly abandoned the thought of being discarded and ran for the palace exit, which left the man and fox lady in the background staring at her back. Qiuyu, the princess was kind enough to take you in, if you dare make her unhappy. State teacher coldly glances over to the model lady behind himself after a momentary delay. I will be the first to knock you off the hook. If not for the fact that he has something to do on the outside and didn't trust this unidentified woman to be alone, state teacher would otherwise never allow her to be near himself. The risk of something off happening remains way too high for his liking. Issue was, he couldn't let his woes be known to the princess just yet. Lord State Teacher, I didn't. Qiuyu's eyes flashed with panic, kneeling there to show her sincerity. I don't care if you mean it or not, as long as you cause Xiaowan to be unhappy then it's your fault. The man snaps and cut her off. From this point forward you are not allowed to appear anywhere near the princess. If you do, the punishment will be severe. He would rather kill 1,000 than to allow one single mistake to bypass his guard. No risk shall ever get past his sight. As you command, my lord. Leave then, he waves his hand and dismisses her with cold indifference. Contract Black Turtle, 8, State Teacher. Before anyone knew it, Fourth Elder had somehow arrived from the back and come before the man. Smiling in his face, I can tell the princess is not indifferent to you. There's actually a solution we can use to have Her Highness stay away from this unknown woman. Turning to the elder, what's the solution? If you be nicer to this Chiu, then the princess will dislike her some more. This white fox is too mysterious, it's far better to expel her as soon as possible. Fourth Elder had furrowed up his brow by then due to remembering some of the past incidents. Not speaking for a moment, State Teacher was obviously contemplating the idea. I will find out her identity first. If I know she's coming with bad intentions, then she won't get away with taking advantage of Xiaowan's kindness. That only made Fourth Elder grow more anxious. Isn't that too much troublesome? We clearly have a faster way to get rid of this Chiu. No, you are mistaken, Fourth Elder. If something is wrong with her background, I don't intend to let her go at all. I will kill her. Losing the usual gentle kindness in his eyes, this man who's been watching over the palace started to reveal the dangerous side that's within him. What's more, the solution you proposed will hurt Xiaowan. I won't do that, even if it's meant to protect her. He's trying to marry the girl, not drive her into a jealous rage. No man would do something so silly. What if she gets payback on him somewhere down the line after their marriage? Or worse, she runs off and finds another man. Fourth Elder's expression grew slightly calmer after getting more detail. If that's your decision, I won't say more. I will send some of the clever maids to Her Highness's side for protection. You and His Majesty have protected the princess far too well over the years. That's why she's so pure-hearted inside and allowed so many to target her. Don't assume Ditong doesn't care about his younger sister. The Demon King does care. It's just that in comparison to a wife and son, the sister naturally has to step aside. Above the noisy streets of the Demon Realm's capital, Chu-yi was currently holding a box of pastries in her hand when speaking to the girls next to herself. Xiaowan, do you have feelings for that State Teacher? Subconsciously vetoing the idea. No way, I and State Teacher are too familiar with each other. How could I take him as a lover? I regard him as a brother. There's nothing between us. Is that so? But aren't you going to marry the guy? Marry? Oh, that. I want to have children, and he will help me make lots and lots of lovely children. That's why I'm marrying him. Di Xiaowan once again brought up the image of the steambun's adorable face and how lovely and cute the little guy was. If my children can be as cute as Xiachen, then I can die happy. At this point, both Chu-yi and Lan Xiaoyun were flabbergasted and popping their eyes out. Don't like the guy but still marry him? Then what's the deal with that jealousness? Does she think we're stupid or something? Xiaowan, you need to cherish the guy if you have even the tiniest speck of feelings for him. Lan Xiaoyun bites her lip. Otherwise you will regret your words somewhere down the line. Contract Black Turtle, 9. Just as her big brother regretted it at that time, Lan Xiaoyun doesn't want her friend here doing the same thing with that guy they just met. Regarding Lan Xiaoling, who's the eldest in the Lan house, the guy had wanted to be with the female queen of the Fengqi kingdom since he's been smitten with her. Sadly, due to various reasons like his own self-esteem and the situation with his family's deteriorating status back in the day, the guy didn't have the courage to pursue that love. Then as Bai Yan returned and brought the Lan house to new heights, the situation suddenly got reversed and it was the female who felt inferior. In the end, neither of the couple could get together and remained circling around with no end to their predicament. Perhaps the topic was making the air too heavy for Chu-yi. Before she knew it, a helpless expression could be seen along this Holy Land's princess face. Do you have someone you like too? Lan Xiaoyan asks after noticing the oddity. Huh? Chu-yi subconsciously shook her head out of reflex. How is that possible? I don't like anyone. In any case, I hope that both of you would take advantage of the opportunity when it comes your way. You might just regret it if you let it slip your hands. Lan Xiaoyan's face was firm in this topic. If I ever fall in love with a man one day, then I won't let anything get in my way. No matter their background or status, I will see it through. Towards that determined face of her friend, Chu-yi's mind instinctively recalled back to a youthful and handsome face. Surprised by her own involuntary reaction, the Holy Land princess promptly shook it off. How can I like him? Though she says that the frail image of that teen remains firmly imprinted onto her heart when Bai Yan destroyed the Bai house. It's too impactful, a young man standing alone before a burning pyre filling up that estate. Xiao Wan, aching inside after remembering the past, Chu Yi asked the one thing her heart really wanted to know. Did your brother get any news about Bai Zhao's whereabout? Not thinking much of that question, which came out of nowhere considering the conversation never went there, the demon princess casually tells what she knew. I am not very clear about that, I only know my big bro left as soon as he woke up. Alright, why are you asking about Xiao Zhao's whereabout all of a sudden? He's after all Bai Yan's younger brother. If he goes missing then she will be very worried regardless of what she says, that's why I'm asking. In order to not rouse any suspicion from the two friends, Chu Yi tries hard to look calm and steady on the surface. I'm only just asking. Bai Xiao was so kind to me back in the Lu Hua kingdom, it's only normal I ask about him since he's been gone so long. I'll ask about him once my big bro returns. Di Xiaowan says, her lip puckering into a displeased frown. Xiao is so lucky, having Bai Yan care about him so much, totally unlike my big bro who only knows how to pick on me. He's nothing like state teacher who's always kind and gentle. From the words of this demon princess, one could hear the level of grievance she has about Di Tsang. Coupled with the vastly different treatment between herself and Bai Yan and her boy, the girl only got more pessimistic inside. Don't be sad, Xiaowan, my cousin Bai Yan is also your family, she loves you too. Also, your older brother isn't that bad to you. That last bit only made the demon princess even more depressed as she breaks out crying, but he's always scaring me. It's either scolding me or calling me stupid, saying I will help my kidnapper count the money after they sell me. My brain just isn't enough to deal with those things. How am I supposed to know those people are out to kidnap me? Contract Black Turtle, 10. Is it my fault that I was born slower and not sinister enough like everyone else? I can't do anything about my own birth, okay? Di Xiaowan mopes inwardly, frowning on the surface due to her own circumstances. Lan Xiaoyun also didn't know how to comfort her since in her eyes this demon princess was indeed silly and sweet to a irregular level. It's no wonder that strong and powerful older brother of hers would pick on her. Xiaowan, you initially scared us by saying Bai Yan was missing and now she's found? Which is it, she's missing or she's not? Chu Yi blinks her eyes in confusion. She's in the celestial realm. Then how do we get there, Xiaowan? I want to look for Bai Yan and my brother. I haven't seen my brother for a long time already. What's more, Chu Yi has a hunch that Bai Xiao would be there as well. She couldn't stop thinking about the guy since he left and would repeatedly think back to him without intention. Are you going to Celestial Realm? Di Xiaowan appears surprised. I likely won't be able to accompany you there. If my big bro finds out then he will kill me. How about this? I can have the Tiger Chief send you to the Celestial Realm if you wish. Tiger Chief? Is it Huang Xiaoying's family? Yes, the current Tiger Chief is Huang Xiaoying's father. But if that tigress also wants to follow you to that place, then make sure to not let her meet Little Rice. It doesn't take much for the demon princess to connect the dots of her friend tagging along. Why? A female in heat is too scary. I'm afraid she'll scare my sister-in-law's little pet. Di Xiaowan has a relatively short fuse when it comes to protecting those close to herself. Since Bai Yan's pet tiger doesn't like the tigress, then it makes no sense to shove them together, right? Chu Yi and Lan Xiaoyun both exchanged a look between themselves, understanding what it meant and the difficult path Huang Xiaoying would be on in order to get a husband. Meanwhile, back over in the Celestial Realm, Bai Yan had just gotten herself comfy in the bed when a gush of wind blew open the door to her bedroom. By the time the demon queen opened her eyes, a powerful pair of hands had already pulled her into an embrace. Di Tsang, you've come, Hoarse in his voice, the man's gentle demeanor stroked at the woman's senses. Since you didn't go back to the demon realm, I decided to come to you instead. I believe you still owe me something from before. As soon as he finished that, the demon king leans downwards and kissed the female in his embrace, all the while swinging the door close with a mere whisk of his sleeve. 8 years. It's been 8 years since he had any taste of this fine, delectable woman. Many times Di Tsang would have the urge to rush out of hiding and take her, but every time he would suppress the desire out of his love for her. And now, he's finally able to release all the pent-up frustration rearing to pop from his groin. There's no way he would let her sleep tonight. Big brother, what's father and mother doing in there? And when did father arrive? How come I didn't know? Outside the courtyard was Di Ling Yen, the peachy baby who's eyeing the closed door with curiosity. Hurrying to cover his little sister's mouth, Bai Xiachen quickly pulls her backwards. Be good, Ling Yen, mother and father are making babies right now, we shouldn't disturb them. Otherwise, father will hit people if we do. At first the steam bun also didn't understand the reason for his parents' close intimate exercise at night, but ever since he went to Earth and got his hands on those dirty magazines left around by the mortals in the Water Clan, he's learned some things and matured to another level. But it looks like it's very painful for mother. How about we not have father and mother make more babies? I don't want mother to be in pain. Bai Xiao 1. Ling Yen, I know a really fun place we can go, would you like to come with me? Bai Xiachen smiles brightly, his eyes flashing with the cunning light of a fox. Sure enough, the peachy baby girl's attention was swiftly shifted away with that idea. Okay, but can we bring Jean Tian with us too? No matter when or where, the twin sister would always remember her twin brother, they're both of the same coin. Come, let's go find Jean Tian and Dragoni. We mustn't disturb father and mother. Leading the way, the steam bun held his sister's hand and left without looking back. With the setting of the sun came the rising of the moon. Inside the bedroom, Bai Yan's ravaged body lay helplessly atop of her husband's as sweat soaked her skin due to the excessive exercise they just committed. Di Tsang. She grinds her teeth in frustration after gathering her breath. The wife here still hasn't gotten over the intensity and madness this guy did to her despite the pleas for mercy. Grinning mischievously like a sly dirty fox that he was, the evil smile of the man only showed the level of egotistic pride he had in what he's done. Yen Yen, your flavor is so beautiful and mesmerizing, I can never get enough of you. You beast! This guy is a beast, a perverted and mindless beast. Not rejecting the claim, Di Tsang once again reverted back to his animalistic instincts and worked his hip and pushed. Of course I'm a beast that only wants to ravage you. It's never enough for him, he must have more. And sure enough, through a quick turn of positioning from bottom to top, the perverted bastard of a demon king thrusts into his wife for the second time, plowing right through the already tired barrier and continued the sexual act. He's truly ruthless today and intends to make her crippled in bed for days on end after tonight. Under the glistening moonlight, a man donning a snow-colored robe stood atop of a treetop near the inn, his back appearing lonely and sad as he watched the two black silhouettes stacked atop of each other. It doesn't take much for this person to understand what they're doing inside. Unable to bear this pain, he eventually turned and left lest he loses to his emotions to barge in there and separate the two. Wandering aimlessly through a forest, Chu E-God eventually came to a halt after sensing an energy signature nearby. E-God. Coming out from hiding was a woman donning a long blue dress, her face veiled with a thin silk to give off an outer appearance beauty and purity. What are you doing here? He asks with that forever emotionless voice of his. I came to see you. Yun Ruoxi's gaze was as captivated as ever towards this man. It's so bad that the woman had started to approach without thought. You never divulged my locations to Bai Yen and Di Tsang. Is it because your heart still has me in there? After she was rescued, she had gone to meet with Chu E-God on several occasions. Never once did the man before herself reveal her location. Otherwise, she wouldn't be standing here anymore. Bai Xiao 2. I'm always ready to be your wife, if you want me to. She says, eyes blazing with hope for the answer. Not turning to face the old witch, Chu E-God continues to have his back on her. You are overthinking things. I didn't kill you because there's still value in your existence. If it weren't for Yun Ruoxi, Bai Yen wouldn't have gone to the demons. If it weren't for Yun Ruoxi, he wouldn't be in this precarious state of not being able to see her again for a full millennium. He hates this woman standing behind himself. It's past the point of being mere emotions anymore. In fact, it's burned into his bones that he would tear her soul apart. No, I don't believe it. I know you have feelings for me. The truth suddenly sent the old witch into a hysterical burst of self-denial. God, I love you. Don't you know I did everything for your sake? Why won't you accept me? Why? She has lost to Bai Yen once. This time she won't lose again. That remark finally got the celestial lord to face her. Even so, those eyes were that of strangers with no warmth, only cold indifference. What you do is always for yourself. Boom. There seemed to be a lightning strike manifesting above their heads, striking the old witch until her heart's a charred thick pile of dust. It became difficult to breathe, like she's suffering from incredible pain in the chest. Clearly what the man said hurts. A ruthless rebuke to the lie that's keeping her going after losing it all. Again, the impressionable picture of their first meeting relapses back into her mind, like always when she's about to lose her mind. It's the image of young love, the most important time to shape a person's character. Then why did you make me fall in love with you? I fell in love with you, yet you won't take responsibility. Tears filled those eyes as she cried this out aloud. Not moved in the slightest. If only you had never fallen in love with me, that would have been better. That way then those tragedies from 1,000 years ago would not have happened. Bai Yen would not hate him to the core. Yun Ruoxi's trembling body instantly froze over like an iceberg. If her heart had been pierced 1,000 times by his harsh refusal, then the words just now was a crushing blow to her sanity. Did he just say he wished I hadn't fallen in love with him? Ha! Funny, how laughable. In her lapse of having a breakdown for the next while, Yun Ruoxi started to ooze a foul aura that seeped into the environment. It's disgusting, turning everything it touches to death and rot. If only the celestial lord had remained after pushing her over the edge. If he did, then he would instantly strike her down. This transformation from the old witch was far too corrupt even for Chu-Yi God to turn a blind eye. Sadly, the man had left earlier and didn't witness the change. Bai Yen, if it weren't for you, then Chu-Yi God would have fallen in love with me. You clearly have the Demon King already. Why are you stealing what's mine? I won't ever let you go, never. Yes, everything that's wrong in her life was the fault of Bai Yen. It's not her own deceit and lies, it's not her own treacherous scheming and foul heart, it's all someone else's. Vowing for revenge was one thing, actually carrying it out was another. Yun Ruoxi was no fool. She knows Bai Yen and Di Tsong remains out of her reach. Getting up from the ground through much struggle, she sneered at the dark open sky and disappeared through a rip in the fabric of reality. Ever since the cold, lifeless bodies of Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun were thrown back over to the Celestial Palace, those remaining defenders had fallen into a great mess of panic and fear. Bai Yen kept her promise, of course. She herself didn't seek revenge on those people. However, that didn't stop the demons rearing for the chance of revenge. As a result of this instability and the disappearances of the other keepers, the entire celestial realm has fallen into rampant strife and danger. Bai Shao 3, Dawn. Inside the inn, Di Tsong had just swung open the door when the stumbling Bai Xiachen rolled uncontrollably through the open entrance and into his parents' view. Baddie father. Shamelessly calling out in a bemoaning voice despite being caught red-handed, I am here to say good morning to mother. You came to say good morning to your mother? Then how come you are using a Dan pill to help cover up your presence before coming? What do you take your old man for? Di Tsong asks with a snarky grin. Acting oblivious like he doesn't know what his old man was saying, I merely ate one of the snacks mother made me, I didn't know what effects it had. Baddie father, I really don't know what you're implying. He's just a kid anyways, not like anyone could do anything to him if he doesn't admit to eavesdropping on his parents. Di Tsong openly laughed at his boy's excuse. Picking the brat up by the back collar, he pats the steam bun on the head in a praising manner. As expected of our son Yen Yen, he inherited all my good points. Propping her head up by leaning against the palm of her hand, Bai Yen lazily glances over from the bedside, and that is? Shamelessly thick-skinned. Bai Yen appeared so shocked that she's either stupefied by the dumb answer or just dead inside. Does Di Tsong really consider that a good point? Mother! Breaking free from his old man's grasp, the boy opens up his arms and pounced at the bed where Bai Yen laid. I want a hug. Bai Yen heard this, of course, and promptly answered the jump by catching her boy with open arms as well. She's more than happy to give him a morning hug, just like when he's a cute little baby. However, the Demon Queen's forgotten there's a husband she must attend to in this case, especially when her own inner dress was partially loosened for all to see. Without letting their son actually make contact, Song had caught the boy jump and swung around just as fast, tossing the steam bun out the door without any force but enough to send him out into courtyard's grass. Bang! Baddie father, you open the door. Bai Xiachen desperately hammered away at the closed room using his hands. That voice sounds so wrong that it's difficult to listen. I already gave you and mother some alone time. You can't hog mother forever. I want to be with mother, so you open the door. He continues to hammer away to no avail. Ignoring the ruckus outside the room, Song swings around to his wife and locks onto those delicate breasts that's clearly flashing before his eyes. Put your clothes on. Pricking her eyes up at her husband's order, but he is my son. Besides, I'm not completely naked, only a little that can be easily covered with a knot. You aren't to be seen by other men below the neckline. Bai Yan's mouth twitched. He is only 8 years old, not a man. That word only applies to those without a third leg. Are you saying our son doesn't have a third leg? Song counters with his own logic, refusing to budge on the issue. But Jin Tian is only 2. He's not allowed either. Jin Tian is also a male, though still a baby, but still a male. Yen, why don't we go for a few more daughters? This way Xiachen won't be able to pester us by preoccupying his energy with someone else. Flashing an evil light in his scheming eye, Song fires off his evil grin of doing something devious. Sure enough, the Demon King carried out his evil thoughts by pouncing like his son at Bai Yan and removed all the clothes in its entirety. Bare and naked, man and woman unites and bonds into one single ball in that bed once again, raising the hormone in the room to an abnormal level. Bai Xiao for, wait. Bai Yan attempts to stop her husband's advances by pressing the palm of her hand against that big powerful chest. I still have other things I want to ask you, hold it. Song stopped his ill-behaving hands at the order, staring down at the panting woman beneath himself. Of course, my dear wife, I will answer anything and everything that you wish of me. Have you gotten any news about my brother Bai Zhao's whereabout? Now that peace has returned to the celestial realm, I want to bring him home with us. It's also the reason why I made such a big fuss before, it's to let him know what I've done. She did not forget the bothered face of her brothers when they met over at the Demon City. Originally, Bai Yan had wanted to get the details and help. Sadly, the following fighting and such went out of her hands and caused her to miss that opportunity. I'll send someone to look for him. Don't worry, he'll be all right. Bai Yan moved her mouth to say something else but quickly stopped midway since there's nothing else they could do at the moment. I hope you're right. In this world, aside from her husband and children, Bai Xiao would be the Demon Queen's closest family. If anything happens to him without her knowledge, this lady would never be able to forgive herself. To the north of the celestial realm, there lies a frost-bitten region of mountainous terrain, more commonly known as the Snow Realm. This part of the world never gets to see the light of spring, nor the greens of nature, only the snowy white landscape of ice and cold. Even so, life persists here in where it shouldn't, and a city had sprouted out from the ground suitable for human inhabitants. Of the several clans making this frost-bitten field their home, the strongest would be none other than the Snow Clan, a suitable name considering the climate and environment. Normally there wouldn't be anything special to be of note in this frostbitten region where survival was a constant challenge for mortals, mostly just the occasional traveler or scuffle between clans. However, something major did occur in recent days. According to the rumors, the Snow Clan's greatest treasure, the Millennium Ice Lotus, had merged with an outsider after coming into contact with him. The person had no relationships to any clans, so this scandal took headline news among the residences of this city. Even more astounding was the consequences of this merger. It had sent the young man into a comatose state. Naturally, the Snow Clan's leading chief wouldn't be pleased at having their greatest treasure stolen by an unknown stranger that came out of nowhere. To remedy the situation and without the consent of the person itself, the Snow Clan decides to take in this young lad and have him marry into the clan. That way they would retain the Millennium Ice Lotus without it being lost. Snow Lotus, I have decided in this matter, that teenager must marry into our family. Of the girls in our family, only you are the most suitable of age. I'm sorry, but you must do this. Speaking this inside a grand estate was the current chief of the Snow clan, Snowhawk. Biting her lip in grievance, the girl by the name of Snow Lotus angrily lashed out. I don't want to. I refuse to marry some unknown boy that came out of nowhere. What if he's just some random nobody from the mountains? So what if he fused with the Millennium Ice Lotus? We can just kill him and pluck it out from that body afterwards. Why must we do this? That guy is just some nobody. How can he compare to my big cousin? And the Millennium Ice Lotus, it should have gone to big cousin instead. I was just about to take it to him from the vault when this bastard came out of nowhere and ruined everything. Snowhawk frowned. My dear, how can you be so short-sighted? Father only wants the best for you. The Millennium Ice Lotus recognized him as the host because of his constitution. He's bound to achieve greatness in the future. I'm not just marrying you to him in order to keep the Lotus within our clan's control, but rather also betting on the young man's future. Perhaps somewhere down the line he would be able to bring great wealth and power to us if he becomes a member of the family. Do you understand? Snow Lotus simply snickered a sneer at her father's wishful thinking. Father, you are putting too much hope into some stranger you never met. He's just a nobody. I suspect the guy came specifically to scheme after our clan's wealth. Why else would he show up out of the blue? Also, which part of him look amazing? I can't sense an ounce of strength in his body. He's nothing like big cousin who's big, strong and manly. Enough. Snowhawk snaps and gets serious in his voice. I've decided on the matter and that's that. You will marry him on the prenuptial day set by the matchmaker. From this day forward you are not allowed to step 1 foot outside the estate. I will be ordering the guards to keep a close eye on you, so don't try anything. By Xiao 5. Lotus's expression changed for the worse after the lecture. Stomping her feet in frustration, the Missy promptly turns around and dashed away. However, instead of returning to her own room after leaving the gathering hall, she instead went to the guest room that's located next to her own courtyard. Lotus, a warm and watery-sounding voice calls out from the rear before she could walk inside. Big cousin. The Missy saw who it was after swinging around and immediately got all teary and sad that wanted nothing but sympathy from the other side. What's going on? Does uncle still want to marry you to that outsider? Wen-Yi asks the girl with a furrowed temple. I'm sorry, big cousin, I wasn't able to have the Millennium Ice Lotus recognize you as its host and allowed another to steal it from under you. Lotus's cheek had gone red from anger. Worst of all, my father is dead set on marrying me to that guy. He's absolutely certain the outsider will become someone great in the future. The Ice Lotus may be a family treasure of the Snow clan here, but it's by no means a tool or artifact. It's in fact a medicinal ingredient, a plant at its core. However, due to its long age and lifespan, the plant had come to grow a spirit of its own, meaning it's not much different from a spirit beast with a mind that's capable of making its own decisions. On top of that, the lotus wouldn't disappear after being fused with its host ether. It would remain inside and continuously supply the user with spiritual energies. So, what does that mean? Simple, the host's strength would grow at an exponential rate without much effort. It's like being constantly injected with power from within instead of having to absorb the energy from the air like everyone else. Flickering a dangerous light in those eyes after hearing the bad news, Wen-Yi the Missy's cousin quickly controlled his inner rage and spoke with his wooing voice. Lotus, I want to marry you by using my own virtues and my own strength, not by relying on the Millennium Ice Lotus. Please do not compare me with that outsider. I can tell he's after your family's power and influence. That's why he forcibly integrated himself with the Lotus. Apparently taken aback by the accusation, Snow Lotus stops her whimpering and stares at the man. You mean he forcibly fused with the Ice Lotus? Didn't it choose him? But that day everyone saw how the Ice Lotus fused with the outsider. He fell beside the flower after succumbing to his injuries. That's why the blood touched the lotus and marked him. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Wen-Yi cocks the corner of his mouth into a I know it smirk. If not for the forced fusing, why else would that outsider be in a coma still? The Ice Lotus had already healed his injuries. There's no reason for him to remain unconscious. This is the work of the ice lotus. It's punishing him for the transgression. Dazed in the face due to the conflicting idea, the girl's mind was starting to sway. Towards such behavior, I would only have disdain for those who would turn to such underhanded means. So what if the Snow clan is powerful and influential? I would never connive after such material things. If I want something, I will only take it by using my own ability, never others. That said, the guy also used his hands to tidy up the loose strand of hair in front of the young lady's forehead. But I'm about to marry that guy. Snow Lotus unwillingly bites her lip. Originally, she just didn't want to marry a stranger, but now she's absolutely disgusted with the person after listening to all the foul things from her cousin here. Silly, how can I let you marry someone else? When Yi saw his words are working, going in for the kill by pecking the girl on the forehead, I've already thought of a way. There's no need to think about this. We will forcibly take back the Ice Lotus from the outsider. But my father said we can't get the Millennium Ice Lotus back even if we killed that person. Bai Xiao, 6. Getting clearly sharper in his gaze, the guy by the name of Wen Yi begins to spout his prearranged verse that he thought ahead of time. Your father is only tricking you into marrying that outsider by using that excuse. The Millennium Ice Lotus can easily be pried out of the person once he's gutted. Do not believe anything else. Know this, my dear Lotus, I only want what's best for you and your clan. I cannot watch idly by while someone evil is going after your family's treasure. In other words, all that he's doing was for the sake of others and not himself. There's not an ounce of selfishness in him. Obviously moved based on how blurry her eyes had become from the wet fluid slowly trickling out. Big cousin, you are so kind to me. You must become the next head of the Snow clan, only then will your efforts not be wasted. That outsider is sure to bring ruin to our clan. Knowing he's got her, when he went ahead and pulled the girl into his arms, those fingers wrapped firmly around the waistline to not let her go. Also, it's to keep Lotus's line of sight from the dark, sinister smirk that he's making. The guy's taller than the girl, so when she leaned that head against the man's chest, there's no way for her to notice. Guest room of the Snow clan. As the sun's ray pierced through the open window, the teen who's laying atop of the bed only appeared pale and distraught. The guy's dreaming, a dream about himself running through an open tundra surrounded by miles and miles of long snowy mountains in view. It's not that the guy wanted to flee through this freezing terrain, rather he's being chased by many ferocious-looking animals in the rear. In his frantic urgency to save himself, he eventually slipped and came crashing down into the ice, leaving a streak of blood through the ground as a result of the mishap. That was it, he knew there's no running after this. Closing his eyes in fear, the guy in the dream shivers uncontrollably at the impending death. The expected slash from a razor-sharp claw never came. Confused by the delay, he slowly opens a gap through those closed eyelids and peeked. It's there that he met her, that brilliant figure standing in front of himself and blocking the animals from eating him. You bunch are so bold. The girl's voice sounded crisp and cold, yet easy to the ear. Didn't I say no demon or demon beast is allowed to attack humans without strong reasoning? Did you all forget my orders already? Originally, the demonic beasts surrounding the youngster were still rearing to go at him, but after that harsh tongue lashing, they promptly retreated away with a longing affection for their prey. It's not often they would come across an easy human for food, therefore it's no wonder they would be so adamant about leaving. After the predators had all retreated and left the scene, the girl finally turned around to offer a helping hand. How are you? Are you hurt anywhere? Unsure at first on how to react, the teen stammered for a proper reply before he pulled himself together. I'm all right, just now, thank you for the help. Don't mind it, the girl smiled. I can tell your abilities are quite low. Here, take this lotus flower, it will help you. But before using it, you must use your own blood to feed it every morning for 100 days to make it recognize you as its owner. Afterwards, the lotus flower will continuously feed your blood with energy and repair any injury you suffer. Slowly taking the flower offered to himself, the youngster shows confusion at the gracious gift. Why are you going this far to help me? We don't know each other. It's nothing special, I'm only doing it for my own pleasure. I can see my past shadow in you. Thankfully I'm better off now since Grandpapa took me in at the Celestial Palace. Otherwise, I would still be hunted by those people. In that moment, the girl's smiling face became firmly etched onto the young man's heart, bringing light and hope into his gloomy life of constant struggle and danger. By Xiao, 7. Looking at the direction of the girl's departing back, the teenager didn't know what else to do aside from silently clenching the gift in his hands. Then a thought hit him, bringing purpose to his own life and why he should live. I will definitely repay you for your kindness. Wait for me. Once I get strong enough, I will find you and swear my loyalty to you. Unfortunately, that vow would never come of fruition, for the girl herself had already perished from this world once he's grown strong enough to safely move on his own. Meeting yet also a farewell, tragedy of fate itself. Some time into the future, the snow remains a forever blanket in this northernmost reach of the celestial realm. There are no more ferocious looking to make him their dinner, no more kind-hearted girl to give him a helping hand, only himself standing there and peering into the far-off horizon. I listened to you, I watered the lotus with my blood every morning and gained incredible strength compared to what I had. But now, you are gone and I still standing here. Why didn't you wait for me? By the time I came out to search for your whereabout, all I got is your terrible fate. Gripping his fist like he wants to challenge the world itself, I refuse to believe their lies. There's no way you are an evil scourge to the celestial realm. Those hypocrites, all they ever know is to look out for their own interest and ignore those like me who needs help in the dark corners of this world. I will make them pay for this. A blood debt must be paid with blood. They took your life, and now I will take theirs as payment. That said, tears began to flow down the young man's cheek. Maybe I will be able to meet you again in the afterlife. Outside the celestial palace some days later. Who goes there? An old man who's clearly in charge of watching over the entrance gate yells at the coming young man. I'm here to avenge her. Sneering in the face, the young man proudly proclaims as he continued to move forward. Even if he's no match for the keepers of this place, he won't back down. Death doesn't scare him. I don't care who you are, but coming to the celestial palace and causing chaos is punishable by death. At the old man's word, the soldiers and defenders all began to brandish their weapons and quickly surrounded the intruder. With a few jabs of the spear and slashes of the sword, holes riddled the person and left him critically injured. If left unattended, he's sure to die from these wounds. With only that measly strength, and you still dare to come cause trouble? The old man contemptuously stares down at the guy, his voice sarcastic and mocking since he believes the upper hand lies with him. I know I'm weak, but she saved my life. Even if she doesn't know who I am nor know my name. I still owe her for all I have right now. Ha! Growing hysterical in his laugh, the young man flexes his muscles and sent the blades and spears jabbed into his body flying outward. At the same time, his body also began to swell bigger and bigger as smoke exuded out of his pores. Self-destruct. A look of horrified fear instantly yanked the old man back to reality and sent him into alarm. He's not here to fight, but to die? He wants to take us with him. Wiping the corner of his mouth to remove the blood, the teen bellows out a powerful laugh since he's got what he wanted. Today, even if I die here, I will drag some of you to hell with me. Whatever I owe her, I will repay it in the next life. Boom. At that signal, an immense and catastrophic explosion rocked the area. Mists of blood scattered across the horizon and created a mushroom cloud in its wake. For this blast, most of the weaker defenders were instantly crushed at the scene, with the only surviving being that old man in charge with the arm blown off. By Xiao, 8. Flashing forward into his next dreams, all were of similar nature, where he would constantly search for a girl that him willingly sacrificed himself in the first one. Of course, he didn't understand any of it and why he's searching. Sadly, like all the rest, he would never meet the individual, only dying alone of old age through years of training and cultivation. Well, that sad fate eventually did come to an end when he finally got asked a certain question by a specific female inside the Bai clan's manor. Why are you so good to me? And he, out of the blue, answered in the oddest way, perhaps it's my way of repaying a past debt from another life to you. In the Snow Clan's guest room, the teen who's been unconscious up till now finally loosened his furrowed forehead, letting a drop of tear to slowly trickle down the side and soaking the bedsheet. I see. I became her brother in this life because she saved me in a past one. I came here for her, willingly to do anything to repay that debt. Unbeknownst to Bai Xiao himself, the sudden act of himself shooting open those eyes had startled the dagger-wielding girl beside his bedside. One could say he got very lucky in this moment, for who knows what this female had intended for him. You, the panicking young girl quickly hides her blade and asked with biting lips, "You're awake? This is bad. Father will definitely come check on the loud commotion if try to gut him." Dry and hoarse like he's dehydrated, Bai Xiao slowly turns his head to the left side to meet the girl who's known as Snow Lotus. Frowning after scanning the unfamiliar bedroom and its layout, "Where am I?" Lotus actually found herself unable to respond for a short moment there. Not for being asked a simple question, of course, but rather due to the extremely manly and attractive voice she just heard. Even so, her drive to rid her family of this outsider remains strong, especially when she believes the person intends to steal her clan's treasure and wealth at the cost of marrying herself. "Good, you're awake now, we can go look for my father." Snow Lotus cocks her chin up as she spoke like she's superior to him in every way. "I will not marry you, so you can forget about doing that. I already have a guy that's way better than you. He's self-reliant and strong, totally unlike you. Also, quit having wishful thoughts about me. That will never happen and nothing can change my mind." Bai Xiao's expression turned into a frown from the initial confusion due to that burst of one-sided nonsense. "I do not know you, nor do I want to marry you." Snow Lotus stared in surprise. "This guy said he doesn't want to marry me? Didn't he steal the Ice Lotus in order to marry me? That way father will have no choice but to force? Why is he trying to deny it now? Are me trying to play hard to get with me?" Lotus grinds her teeth viciously like a humiliated cat. "I've met enough bastards like you who only knows how to act like they're not interested. Do you think I will believe that? I demand you go to my father this instant to state you won't marry me, otherwise I would rather die than doing so. I am the daughter of the Snow Clan. Who doesn't admire me in this northern Iceland? Don't take me for a fool just because you got some acting skills." Bai Xiao, 9. Bai Xiao didn't want to waste more words with this girl who's clearly deaf in the ear. Pushing his arm to help himself up from the bed, the young lad didn't think much of the act until he suddenly came crashing down from the side and hitting the floorboard. That's how it dawned on him the condition he was in before falling unconscious. He became seriously injured and eventually went black. "You..." Lotus reflexively jerked backwards to avoid the guy who made the abrupt move. "You won't get any sympathy from me even if you do this. I won't accept you, so you can forget it. I would rather give the Snow Clan to Big Cousin than to give it to him. No outsider will take my family's wealth and power away by using underhanded means. Only Big Cousin can bring glory to the family. I don't get what father sees in this guy." Due to the noise from the inside, one of the maids standing watch outside immediately came running in to help. However, Bai Xiao has never been accustomed to having strangers touch him. That's why he swiped the helping hand away without forethought. This wouldn't be anything special aside from being a bit rude, but in Lotus's view, this behavior only appeared even more disgusting, like he's trying to get her to personally help. "Don't think I can't tell. You not letting the maid help you is to have me do it. I'm stating this now. I won't touch you, not even a pinky. If I must help anyone, it will only be my cousin who gets it. You're such a delusional fool. Don't think everyone can be so easily deceived by your act." Caring even less at the rant coming his way, Bai Xiao pulls himself back up using the bed corner. Sweating in the forehead as he spoke, "Scram!" Stumbling backwards due to the outburst coming at herself, "Are you putting up a act again? It must be because I saw through his plan of acting hard to get. That's why he scolded me, so that I would be more interested. Humph, I've seen too many people like that, always acting so cool and tempered before me. They're all the same, conniving after my family's wealth and influence. Only Big Cousin is different. Only he would use his own abilities to achieve great things." Bai Xiao could tell his words would never get through this strange girl and decides to not even give it an effort. It's not like he needs to anyways. If he could move, then he could leave, by then he would never need to speak to this unreasonable person. The only issue was would they let him leave. That's the main problem. I'm warning you again, I will never marry you, so you better lose that idea. Your dream will never come true. With a glare as her final act, Lotus quickly turns for the door and ran outside. Once she was alone again, the young miss of this household immediately scans the surrounding for signs of others. Upon certain there's no one around, she promptly tosses the dagger hiding under her sleeve away. Only then did she head towards the guest room where her supposed lover resides. Wen Yi has been standing at the entranceway during this period. He's also part of the plot to kill Bai Xiao, so of course he would be wary. Lotus, how did it go? Making a aggrieved face as she walked over after hearing that. I failed, that asshole woke up before I could move. I got scared since the commotion would alert my father. Without surprise, the gentle light in the man's eyes quickly shifted to that of disappointment, but he's not one to give up so easily. Pressing down his internal emotion, the guy pulls out his almost cooing voice. It doesn't matter, a failure is a failure. Since he's awakened now, we only need to threaten him a bit to give up the initiative. You don't know big cousin, he's trying to play hard to get with me. There's no way he would let go so easily. Stomping her feet in frustration, Snow Lotus acts like she's been sexually harassed by the mere idea. Bai Xiao, 10. He insisted that he doesn't want to marry me, but guess what he did right afterwards? He fell on his own when getting out of the bed and wanted me to help support him. As if I would do that? In regards to the idea of playing hard to get, Snow Lotus have seen quite a lot of it in the past. That's not fake. As a result of that, her view about others are somewhat twisted and difficult to change, hence the current situation. But, apparently afraid her cousin there would misjudge her words, the girl quickly followed up with more. I told him there's no way I will be his wife. Even if he tries to force me, only my corpse will be waiting for him. As for the Millennium Ice Lotus, I guess the guy is getting lucky in that regard. Wen Yi immediately lowered his head to avoid eye contact, but the light in his gaze had gotten very dangerous and sharp at the idea of losing the Ice Lotus. Humph, this stupid woman, as if I would let the Ice Lotus get away from my hands. Does she really think she's all that? If not for the Snow Clan's influence and power, I wouldn't even bother to spend so many years sugaring her up. Putting away his contemptible thoughts to continue in his act, Wen Yi forms the gentlest smile he could muster. How can I ever watch you suffer, Lotus? Know this, me wanting to pull the Ice Lotus out from that guy is for your sake, nothing else. I merely can't endure watching you marry someone you don't love, understand? Big cousin, the girl's eye got all red and watery, sending her right into his arms like a love-struck maiden. Only you would care about me so much. I promise I will do everything to help you. My heart and soul is yours and yours only. That asshole will never get my body. K? A snickering laugh filled Wen Yi's mind at the idea of that word. How much is that worth? Caring for this idiotic woman is merely a mean to get what I want. After I'm done with her upon taking over the Snow Clan, I will make sure to stuff her into a cage and never let her out. There are so many more females out there, why should I be constricted to a single one? Not far above the snowy mountains, 3 young girls curled together into a shivering manner due to the extreme cold. Xiaoying, Tigress, are you sure Bai Yan is in this place? Chu asks with clattering teeth as she squirmed from the low temperature. Originally Huang Xiaoying, the daughter of the current tiger chief, wasn't going to be part of the group to come to the celestial realm. However, the girl had gotten wind of the news before her old man and intercepted it. As a result, she was able to secretly drag the other 2 human girls away, claiming she knew the way. Sadly, the plan had gone awry somewhere along the way. They've been walking for some time and never found a trace of Bai Yan anywhere, let alone a living creature in this desolated ice field. My grandmother told me we only need to head south to find the queen. Huang Xiaoying bites her thumbnail and answered honestly. She doesn't know the exact location, so she made sure to ask for the way before heading out. In that instant, both Chu Yi and Lan Xiaoyun were extremely horrified in their faces. Di Xiaowan is right, you are a big brainless woman with only big boobs. This is the north, we've been walking northward. Chu Yi, the Holy Land's own princess, jumps up and points her finger in an accusing manner at the tigress. Normally this Chu-yi wouldn't have such an outburst even if they went the wrong direction, but this Huang Xiaoying didn't even bother to tell them about the information from the old grandmother. Now they're even further than ever from Bai Yan's location. Did I go the wrong way? The tigress also turned green at the idea, her head stiffly looking around like she's finally realizing her own mistake. Stupid, you idiot, you're killing me. Chu-yi's beautiful eyes glared at the tigress like she wants to chew her out. However, her temper instantly vaporized at the cold breeze that ran through her spine in the next. Forget it, let's find a place to rest first before heading back. Lan Xiaoyan gets up at the good suggestion, her teeth also clattering from the cold. Yeah, let's do that. I don't get it, I've never been affected by the weather since I started to cultivate, why am I feeling it now in this place? Exhaling to release a puff of white mist from her mouth, let's head to that city we saw back over that hill. We can get a room at the inn or something and warm up before heading back. Snow Lotus, Snow Moon 1, let's go. Chu-yi rubs her shivering arms, we need to hurry, the sun looks like it's about to set. I don't want to be out here in the middle of the night. Huang Xiaoying the tigress whimpers in support, following closely behind the two so they won't be lost a second time. Fortunately, the city in question wasn't that far from their location. Before long, the party had come upon a sign with the name Ice Realm clearly written on the surface. Watch out! Chu-yi had only taken the first step after seeing the sign when a loud hollering cry caught their attention from the forefront. Looking up, they could see a frantic three-striped tiger speeding towards their location with another girl trying to give chase from the rear. It's obvious this out-of-control tiger belonged to that anxious-looking girl who's crying and calling for it stop. Xiaoyan, both of you step aside. Huang Xiaoying's expression got all serious and hurriedly pushed her two companions away to act as a shield for this rampaging animal. You stand right there. She locks onto the three-striped tiger and orders with her resounding roar-like voice. Perhaps it's due to that roar, or simply because they're both tigers, but Huang Xiaoying's words definitely had an effect and settled the poor animal. Even so, the frenzied look in those eyes did not disappear and remained strong despite being more subdued and not moving. Tigerly! The girl who's been chasing from the back wanted to take this chance to check on her precious friend when the tigress promptly raised a hand out to stop it. You can't go over there, he's in a frenzied state and will hurt anyone that draws near. Then what am I supposed to do? Wiping some of the tear away, the poor girl weeps. My Tigerly have always been very good and would never hurt anyone. Why did he suddenly lose control like this? He even refused to listen to my words. Huang Xiaoying realized that the girl was sincere about caring for the three-striped tiger. Easing up in her stern face, did you feed him a tiger-tail grass? Tiger-tail grass, what's that? The girl appeared puzzled at the name. Tiger-tail is a medicinal material, useful for many types of recipes. However, tigers themselves can't eat it, otherwise they will become violent and lose control. Sister, can you help me save Tigerly? He is what mother left me before she passed away. I've been with him for many years, I don't want to lose him, the young teenager pleads, her face all red and flushed with emotion. Although in the celestial realm predominantly shun demons, but there's some who are able to contract with demonic beasts, provided they gain the approval of the animal itself. However, there are also many cases where the poor creature are tortured until they submit and forcibly enslaved. Don't worry, Tigertails has a time limit before its effect are worn off. We only need to wait and do nothing. But, the teenage girl casts a glance at her familiar before biting down on that lip, but, what am I going to do? People from the city are going to be coming through this area. I'm afraid they will encounter Tigerly and create a scene. If that happens, then the city officials will get involved, and then. Snow Lotus, Snow Moon, 2. If father finds out Tigerly will hurt someone from the city, then he will dispose of him for sure. By then even begging will be useless. Huang Xiaoying murmured in hesitation, if not, can we help her? To be precise, she wanted to help the three-striped tiger since she's the Tiger Clan's princess. Out of respect for her own kind, she's automatically obliged to have good feelings about the animal despite its inferior bloodline. Issue would be what the other two companions thought of the matter. She already made Chu Yi and Lan Xiaoyan late in reuniting with Bai Yan due to her own blunder, therefore it's shameful to ask for more. You want to help? Chu Yi shrugged like it's nothing. We're here anyways, another hour in delay won't matter much. Huang Xiaoying finally showed a bright smile, excitedly hugging the Holy Land princess as thanks. I really want to kiss you, but you are not my future husband, little rice, so that hug will have to do. Chu Yi shuddered at the notion and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Woman and woman don't mix, you stay over there, otherwise I'll yell for help. If it hadn't been for her strength not being on par with this century-old tigress, the usual pampered princess of the Holy Land would have already dunked a few punches at her companion. Huang Xiaoying didn't mind the comment and happily got back to the business at hand. So where's your home? I will help bring your tiger back with you, and don't ever let him eat that tiger tail grass anymore, otherwise the both of you won't be so lucky next time. Ugh, the girl blinked in confusion. By the way, how come Tiger Li is listening to you after he went berserk? When I was shouting at him to stop earlier, he ignored me completely. Huang Xiaoying hesitated. What was she supposed to tell her? Say she's the princess of the tiger clan from the demon realm? That the 3-striped tiger stopped because of her superior bloodline lineage? This, murmuring for a while without thinking up a good excuse, probably because your tiger is a pervert, that's why he stopped at the sight of the beautiful Omi. Instantly, the sprawled-out tiger who's shivering on the ground bemoaned a growl in protest. Which part of me looked like a pervert? I'm clearly stopping because of the bloodline suppression from you. On the contrary to the blank faces of others, the young teenage girl at hand believed that excuse full-heartedly. Why shouldn't she? Her familiar's safely at put and wasn't rampaging around. Then I want to grow up looking just as beautiful as you. That way Tiger Li won't ever go on a rampage anymore. This girl, can she be as dunce as Di Xiaowan, demon princess? How can she even believe that obvious lie? Right, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Snow Moon. I'm the youngest daughter of the Snow Clan and we're the biggest family clan around in this ice realm. I'll take you to my home, so please follow me. After saying that, Moon wanted to reach out and pat her familiar's head when she came eye to eye with the glaring look of the tiger. Out of reflex, she instinctively flinched her hand backwards lest she be bitten. She's sad about this outcome, but more than sadness, Snow Moon was more confused about when her friend ate a tiger tail grass. She knows that's not something she had in her possession, that's for sure. The Snow Clan's estate wasn't very far from the city gates. Therefore, it didn't take long for the group to arrive at Snow Moon's home, where they came face to face with another female at the doorway. However, instead of being welcoming and warm, this peach blossom-looking woman only had disgust in those eyes when she examined the girls. Snow Moon, who are these people? Did you get father's consent in bringing outsiders into our city? Chui and Bai Xiao, one, big sister. Snow Moon clenched that pink lip into a thin line like she didn't want to give the details. Just now Tiger Li lost control and it was these 3 sisters here who saved him. If they leave, then Tiger Li will go into a frenzy again. Upon hearing that the 3-striped tiger went berserk, Snow Lotus swiftly shifted her attention to the animal in question. Out of fear at recognizing the ferocious glare, she immediately took a few steps back. Fine, if they're here to look after your tiger, then they can stay for now. But once Tiger Li is fine, then they are to leave immediately. Our Snow Clan won't allow just anyone to sucker up to our feet. Without surprise, Chu Yi of the Holy Land instantly blew up after hearing that derogatory remark. She's the noblest young lady in the human world. Who would dare speak ill to her in that manner? Since these people don't want us to stay, then we can go. I'm not going to put up with this if this is how they're going to treat us. She grabs hold of her 2 companion and begins to walk away. Grar! Without Huang Xiaoying's bloodline suppression, the 3-striped tiger issued a growling roar in the next, its eyes red and thirsty for blood. Seeing this, Snow Moon, who's been trying to mediate the situation, quickly got teary and anxious. Big sister, what are you trying to do? These are my guests that I invited. You have no right to drive them away. Snow Lotus would of course be offended in the way her younger sister rebuked her, but she's also not blind to the danger that's quickly brewing nearby in the form of the tiger. It's already locking onto her body and fangs baring. going pale at the dangerous possibility. I was just kidding. I didn't mean to drive them away. Chu-yi finally stopped her moving legs after hearing that, but her face wasn't that of complacent or happiness at being allowing to stay. It's contempt. That's too bad, we no longer want to stay. If not for Xiaoying asking us to help the three-striped tiger, we wouldn't even bother to waste time in this frigid place. Don't think people are going to come and go as you please just because you got some influence here due to your family background. Chu-yi has never suffered such indignation, not in the past and not into the future. As for Huang Xiaoying, who wanted to help the most, she too has been enraged by the maltreatment of the older sister here. Turning her head, this big-breasted dunce made it clear she's also displeased. And regarding Lan Xiao, well, her temperament couldn't be called the best either. Sure, her abilities aren't at the level of the other two girls in her party, but that doesn't mean she would just take the insult. After all, she had her cousin Bai Yan to support her. What did she have to fear? Snow Lotus's expression changed for the worse after sarcastic remark. I'm not wrong. If these people are not here to lick their feet and gain some benefit, then why else are they trying to get close to her younger sister? Only Moon is blind enough to believe them. I Chu-yi have never sucked up to anyone in my life. She proudly cocks her chin up. Also, there is nothing in this world that is worth having me suck up to others. You. Snow Lotus gnashes her teeth and glared angrily at the Holy Land's princess. How can there be such a brazen person in this world? She clearly wants to take advantage of the Snow Clan's influence yet refuses to admit it. She's just like that bastard inside the estate. Both shameless to the core. Big sister. Snow Moon couldn't take it anymore and stomped her feet in frustration. They are my guests, so I will decide on the matter. If you cause Tigerly's death, then I will. I will die with you. Chu-yi and Bai Xiao too, taking another few steps back in a hurry after hearing that growl. Snow Lotus bursts out screaming, Crazy, you're all crazy. I'm done staying here with you nutcases. Moon, I pray for you that these people aren't coming with bad intention, otherwise, not even father will let you go. Giving a final glare at the Holy Land princess who dared to talk back, the pompous and rude miss of the Snow Clan twists around and fled back into her home. Xiaoyan Xiaoying, we're leaving too, let's go. Chu-yi did not intend to stay despite winning the banter and pulled at her two companions' arm again. She's never suffered indignation before in all her life thus far. It's frustration and making her very unhappy. Ah! Huang Xiaoying widened her eyes. She's somewhat reluctant to leave and gave a casting glance at the three-striped tiger. However, her indecision steadied at the remembrance of Snow Lotus's maltreatment and poor attitude. What are you dropping your mouth for? Didn't you hear what that woman said? She only knows how to look down on people. If anything goes missing in there, then I can guarantee you she will blame us for the theft. The annoyance clearly didn't leave yet, hence the sort of words coming out of Chu-yi's mouth. He is right. Lan Xiaoyun also chimes in after a moment of thought. Turning to Snow Moon, who's all anxious and worried, I'm sorry, Ms. Moon, we cannot help you anymore. You've heard what your elder sister said. We don't want to get mixed in with the problems of your family, so we can only keep our distance. But Snow Moon's eyes immediately got all teary and red. She is her and I am I. I won't let something like that happen. Please, I beg you, please stay until Tigerly is back to normal. In the end, the plea finally moved the Tiger Princess. Stepping forward again, Huang Xiaoying speaks with intelligence for once. Let's do this then. I will look after your three-striped tiger for the next hour until the effects wear off, since we won't be staying. I don't want to stay at this crummy place either, so everyone wins. How about that? Perhaps the way of describing her home as crummy hit a sore spot for Snow Moon. Without delay, the younger miss of the Snow Clan began to let the tears roll down those cheeks until her existence shrunk into an insignificant pea-sized shape. Murmuring in her tiny voice, Okay, I will have Tigerly follow you. Please take care of him for me. I'll come pick him up in an hour. Chu-yi didn't have any objection to the tigress's idea of taking the feline with them. As long as they don't meet that foul-mouthed Snow Lotus, then it's all good. Let's go. Readying to leave for the third time now after giving both girls the signal, Chu-yi had just swung around when she overheard a banshee-like scream from the inner courtyard of the estate. You asshole, you actually dare to undress before me. I already knew you were coming with bad intentions, but I didn't think you would be a pervert as well. Naturally, the annoyed Holy Land princess didn't want to stop again after so much back and forth, but the familiar voice that replied in the next second stopped her in her track. Scram! The sound was cold and heartless, but with the youthful greenness of someone they knew. Towards this voice, Lan Xiaoyun was equally as familiar because it's someone they've been wanting to meet as well. Exchanging a look with Chu Yi, both of these human ladies were making shocked faces like they didn't expect this at all. But of the most rash and tactless of the two, Chu had to take the lead when she bolted for the inside in a hasty run. Inside a room. The Snow Clan's chief and Wen Yi had just barged into this room when they saw Lotus angrily lashing out at the occupant inside. Lotus, what happened? The girl's father asks with a frown on his face. Father! Lotus saw who had arrived and immediately flew into a grievance cry. Pointing accusingly at the half-naked teen, her face flared with rage. Chu Yi and Bai Xiao, 3, this bastard got naked in front of me. He's clearly trying to do something untowards me while no one is looking. We have to kick him out right away. Bai Xiao didn't lash out at the accusation in this case though. He's merely sitting on the bedside and taking it all in with an amused smirk. Get me out of here? I couldn't ask for a better outcome. Just now he was indeed open-chested. However, he's not trying to strip in front of the girl, nor does he want to have her in this room to begin with. In fact, it was she who barged in when he was applying the medicine to huge wound along his chest. Furthermore, who barges into a man's room without knocking first? Snowhawk the chief saw through this, of course, since anyone could tell what the boy was doing with those bandages and medicine on the table. Getting gloomy in his face when turning to his oldest daughter, Lotus, you are being unreasonable here, and no, you are not breaking the marriage arrangement and you will marry him. The upset miss stared hard like she couldn't believe what her ears were hearing. Father, have you gone mad? Do not be deceived by this person. He can barely stand up on his own, let alone be the host of the Ice Lotus. I say it's big cousin who should be. Enough. Snowhawk snaps in exasperated tone. This is my decision, you will not say more. I don't care if you want to or not, but you will marry him on the auspicious day set by the matchmaker. Bai Zhao's cold glaring eyes shifted to the older man at that last bit because he never agreed to anything. I am grateful for the Snow Clan's help when I was seriously injured, but I won't be marrying your daughter. My marriage will be decided by own will, not by the dictation of others' finger. Snowhawk's face changed into the form of someone being troubled by a set of disobedient children. Oh my goodness, one Lotus is already difficult enough to handle, now this teenager is also refusing my judgment. Which part of the Snow Clan is bad? What can't we give him to refuse the marriage? Sir Xiao, you don't know this since you are not from here, but my Snow Clan has a rule passed down through the ages that one who wields the Millennium Ice Lotus must become a son-in-law of the family. Snowhawk's troubled face reforms into a collected elder teaching their ignorant younglings, you can't expect me to disregard this rule, can you? Bai Xiao only chuckled at that. Your clan's rule is yours, what does it have to do with an outsider like me? I will naturally leave on my own after my injuries recovered some more, but if you wish for me to leave right away then I will. As for the debt of helping me, I will also repay it on a later date when my body permits it, that I guarantee. A debt was a debt, he owes them and won't refute that claim. However, no one was going to force him into anything. Snowhawk's smile crumbled into a thin line of deep troubled thought. Then just as this older man wanted to persuade some more, irate outcry came from the Missy in question. Can't you see, father? This bastard is acting all high-mighty in front of us, so I will have deeper feelings for him. He knows you won't let him leave, that's why he's pretending to not like me. I'm telling you, there's not going to be anyone, ever, to fall in love with him. That last line was exactly what Chu Yi heard when she arrived outside the bedroom. Normally she would be insulted at hearing her friend being berated in such a fashion, but her eyes had already landed on the young dreamy lad in her mind and that huge gashing wound across the chest. It struck her like a sword in a maiden's heart. Get out of my way! She shoved Snow Lotus aside, who was directly in her way, and sped towards the young lad. Chu Yi and Bai Xiao, 4, stopping right before the young lad's presence, Chu Yi was only a step away from crashing into him. "You're hurt, Xiao?" Without surprise, Bai Xiao became startled by the sudden appearance of this friend of his. Even so, it didn't take long for him to respond with that brilliant smile. "I'm fine, how come you are here?" For a moment, even Snow Lotus was bedazzled by the level of charm coming off of the lad. She's always taken her big cousin Wen Yi as the most handsome man in the ice realm. That's why she's so heads over heels for the person. Yet now she's coming to realization of someone even better on the bed right over there. To say she's not slightly swayed would be an understatement. But then the remembrance of the repugnant things done to herself instantly shook Lotus back to attention. Furthermore, she just got shoved by some lowly peasant outsider. "It's good that you are all right. I and Xiaoyun came to meet Bai Yen, but we ended up going the opposite way and came here instead. I'm just as surprised to meet you here." "Bai Yen?" Snow Hawk, who's been listening intently at their conversation, formed a frown at the name. Why is the name so familiar? Bai Xiao's even cool face finally breaks into a warmth never shown thus far. Turning to the Snow Chief, "Chief Hawk, I will be leaving with my friends now that they are here. The debt I owe your clan will be repaid by me in due times, that I promise." The frown in Snow Hawk's face deepened even further. Instead of making the kind, elderly facade he showed earlier, the chief had turned sharp and borderline threatening. Chu Yi sensed this, of course, and subconsciously stepped forward to put herself between the two men. She's vigilant in the eye like a fight's about to break out. In light of the heavy air, Snow Hawk's dangerous aura eventually scattered and returned to the gentle and kind one. "Sir Xiao, I believe it's best if you stay until you recover from your injury. I wouldn't want our efforts to be in vain. How about it?" "Humph, why would we do that? You people will only continue to insult him if he stays." Chu Yi doesn't back down and shot the idea down with her warning glare around the increasingly larger crowd of occupants around the doorway. "I'm taking him away today regardless of what you all do." This time it's no longer a mere differing opinion or argument. It's a direct insult for Snow Hawk, who called himself the chief. Bai Xiao felt the sudden pressure exuding out of the older man there and immediately reached out to grab hold of Chu Yi's hand to pull her back. "We will stay for now like Chief Hawk suggests. My injury is too severe to move properly, so it's the best arrangement." As soon as he said this, the pressure that surrounded the Holy Land's princess dispersed and the chief bellowed out a laugh at the sensibility of the young lad. "That's great then. I will not disturb your rest, so we will take our leave. Lotus, come with me." Grabbing his eldest daughter's arm, he drags her out without room for discussion. The whole room went all quiet despite the ruckus mere seconds ago. "Xiao, why are you staying?" Chu Yi asks with a perplexed look. Scanning the room to make sure there's no eavesdroppers lingering around, the Snow Clan's chief won't be letting us go regardless of what we do. Also, you're not his equal, so there's no point in resisting right now. We will move once I recover. That little remark about her being weak definitely didn't make the girl any happier, but even so, the Holy Land princess didn't refute the claim and moved on. "So we can leave after you recover?" "Uh-huh." The boy makes a faint nod. "Once I am healed, no one here is my opponent." Bai Xiao wasn't one to repay kindness with hate, but they are leaving him no choice. A debt doesn't equal to slavery, nor does it mean one must sell themselves out for such a thing. Chu Yi and Bai Xiao, 5. "Then I'll stay with you." Chu Yi wanted to reach out to help the young man when her hand froze midair at the sight of that huge scar along the chest. Frowning in the face, "Do you need me to help you with the medicine?" Realizing his current flaunting of skin, Bai Xiao suddenly found it oddly uncomfortable and quickly covered up part of it. Coughing to clear his throat and to hide his inner embarrassment, "No, I'll apply it myself. I've got some injuries elsewhere. Can you first move outside for it?" Men and women are different. It's already bad enough he's showing his open chest before her. What would she think of him if he starts stripping the pants as well? "You're hurt elsewhere?" Chu Yi blew open her mouth and began to examine the young lad with anxious eyes. Bai Zhao's expression only got more embarrassed at the added attention. The place where I got hurt is on my inner thigh. It will be inconvenient, so, The Holy Land's princess reacted like any young maiden would. She's flushing red in the face like a peachy plum. Hurrying to swing around in order to not make eye contact. Ugh, that. I will take my leave first then. Go ahead and apply the medicine. If you need help then call me. By the time her voice finished that sentence, she's already bolting it out the door. Lan Xiaoyan was the first to greet the fleeing friend that came running back out from the estate. That person inside, is it my cousin Bai Xiao? Bai Xiao? Huang Xiaoying the tigress didn't know who the guy was. However, she could see the flushed red appearance of her companion there. Without thinking, this big-breasted dunce jumped up and yelled the first thought that came to mind. Why is your face so red? Did someone inside the Snow Clan pick on you? No one will call you a dummy if you don't speak. Chu yells back in exasperation. This big-breasted dunce couldn't pick it up, but Lan Xiaoyun definitely did with her intelligence. Did I say something wrong again? Huang Xiaoying makes an aggrieved face. Xiaoying. Chu turns to her smart companion and instantly noticed the smiling look coming her way. In the momentary panic, she blurts out the only excuse that came to mind. It is Bai Xiao inside there, and I'm blushing because of the sun. The sun, it's really the sun. Pricking her eyes up skeptically, Lan Xiaoyan looks upward and found only the gloomy white clouds covering the sky. Sun? Where is the sun? Chu Yi's flushed face nearly exploded due to the blood rushing up to the head. She's known as the little demon witch of the Holy Land. When has she ever been so weak and helpless? It's shameful, but the girl had to admit she's inferior to even the tigress here who they took as a dunce. At least Huang Xiaoying had the courage to pursue love despite everyone's opinion. Do you like my cousin Bai Xiao? Lan Xiaoyun figured it's best to be direct. Pursing her lips into a thin line, Chu stared at the ground for a long while before looking to for answering. I like Bai Xiao. I've liked him since the day I saw him standing outside the burning Bai house. Chu and Bai Xiao, 6. Bai Yan wasn't the biological daughter of the Bai family, thus making it rather irrelevant even if she did destroy that household. However, Bai Zhao was different and remains truly born of that family, despite all the woes about their misdeeds. Towards someone that would go so far to stand with his sister, how could Chu not fall heads over heels for him? If, said Lan Xiaoyan with a smile, Bai Yan finds out you're going to be her sister-in-law, she'll be very happy. Cousin Bai Yan have always liked you a lot. Chu stared at the girl like cat having its tail stepped on. Who said I'm going to be her sister-in-law? Bai Xiao. He still hasn't accepted me and he doesn't even know I favor him yet. Then you can tell him, you silly. Why wouldn't you tell him? But what would you do if Xiao Xiao rejected you? Lan Xiaoyun suddenly got very serious with that question. Chu suddenly fell into a daze like her soul got shattered into tatters with that possibility. That's right, what if he turns me down, what then? Will he think of me being shameless if I refuse to let go? Will he think I'm one of those females? Would he hate me in the end? The more she thought, the more anxious this Holy Land princess became. Or, I can hide it from him for now, it's fine to keep things as is like before. Rather than being rejected, she much prefers to keep things at a stalemate level of friends. Lan Xiaoyun understood the woes of her friend there, of course. Raising a hand to pat that shoulder, that's your choice, and maybe then you can watch him marry and have children as well. By then you can even be the baby's godmother and name the kid. Chu Yi's little face got dreadfully white at the idea. She could tell Lan Xiaoyun was using this method to provoke her into confessing, but she just doesn't have the courage just yet. I'll try. Chu Yi's lips formed into a bittersweet line. I will try to be like Huang Xiaoying some more. She still hasn't given up despite suffering so many setbacks, so I shouldn't give up either. Bai Zhao's temperament have always been on the cooler side, the only exception being Bai Yan, his older sister. That's also the reason why Chu Yi felt so reluctant to confess. The only reason the boy was so gentle with them was because of Bai Yan's connection. Without that proud woman, they are barely worthy of being in the guy's view. Huang Xiaoying, who's been keeping quiet until now, finally commented with that pastry-stuffed mouth of hers. One really had to hand it to this tigress to eat at this moment. I did not suffer any setbacks, okay? Why do you two keep saying I did? It's so frustrating to be misunderstood because I've been doing very well so far. Chu Yi snapped to the tigress because she did not expect that. I thought Little Rice isn't accepting you, right? So what? Huang Xiaoying swallowed the pastry in one big gulp before replying, sooner or later Little Rice will be mine. I've set my eyes on him already, that means I won't change my mind in this life. That actually brought a momentary stupor to Chu Yi's head. Before she always thought of this tigress as a silly woman who only has breasts for brains, but now she's somewhat envious of her straightforward nature. I understand then. I will not give up. As long as he hasn't fallen in love with another, I won't give up either. Chu Yi and Bai Xiao, 7. Despite the topic being revolved around the young man inside her home, Snow Moon didn't actually realize this until they've reached this part. Stunned in the eyes, "Sister, are you saying that Bai Xiao inside is the one you like?" "You can say that." Chu Yi rubs her chin before narrowing those eyes in against the young girl, "but you mustn't tell him this, otherwise I won't let Huang Xiaoying help you anymore." "I see. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, especially Sir Xiao." Snow Moon didn't get frightened by the warning tone, rather got all cherry and made a zipping gesture around the lips to emphasize her will to keep quiet. Chu Yi had already liked this lovely lass from the start and only stayed distant due to that rude older sister. Now that she's able to meet her crush as well thanks to this chance meeting, her tone naturally returned to a softer one instead of the displeased version from earlier. "You are a good child. Can you tell me what's the deal with your family clan? Why is your father forcing him to become your older sister's husband?" Snow Moon puckers her lip into a frown at the mention. "My family has a Millennium Ice Lotus in our possession before, and it took your friend Sir Xiao as its host by coincidence. Father believes he will become a great individual in the future because of that reasoning, hence his insistence on the marriage arrangement. But my sister Lotus, she has someone else she likes already." "A Millennium Ice Lotus? What is that? How come I never heard of that before?" Chu Yu rubs her chin at the odd name. "Oh right, the one my older sister like is my big cousin Winnie. But I never did like that guy since I was young. I find him far too fake with that pretentious face of his." "Are they really cousins?" Chu Yi stares in surprise. "I heard close relatives becoming a couple will have a higher chance of producing defective children." At that moment all three eyes fell 33 upon her. "Who told you such nonsense? How come I never heard of such a thing?" Lan Xiaoyan cuts in with her skeptical voice. "I agree, I've never heard of these things either, so it mustn't be true." Huang Xiaoying also nodded in agreement. Her tiger clan has plenty of their members partnering with close relatives. If it's spread that their offspring are defective for this reasoning, then it would be a scandal. "It's Bai Yen who told me this." Chu Yi blandly answers, her voice deadpan and flat. Without surprise, that causes Lan Xiaoyan to loosen her frowning face. "If it's my cousin who said it, then it must be true. Ms. Moon, you should tell your older sister this, otherwise their children will become defective in some way when born." "I agree." Huang Xiaoying nods her head proudly for some reason. "Out of consideration for your love for the three-striped tiger, I suggest you stay away from that cousin of yours lest he gets funny ideas about you afterwards. I will also tell my father to mandate distancing of close relatives in marriage arrangements." Chu Yi forced a hard look at this tigress due to the quick turn of attitude. "That's not what you said just now." Snow Moon also became dumbfounded due to the lack of integrity about where these girls stood. She's simply never seen anyone changing their attitudes so quickly. "No matter who your older sister likes, my cousin Xiao Xiao won't be marrying her regardless." Lan Xiaoyan bites down on her lip at the remembrance of the past. "No one can force that guy into anything if he doesn't will it." Framed 3. "What do we do? My father will not let Sir Xiao go at this rate. If he finds out Sister Yi here likes him too, then he will surely kick her out." Snow Moon frowns and said it worriedly. Casting a glance at the tigress, Chu Yi wanted to confirm some details first. "Hey Big Breast, are you able to overcome these people from the Snow Clan if we end up in a fight?" Huang Xiaoying shook her head honestly. "I can't beat them. Both of you leave first and find Bai Yen for help. I'll stay behind with Xiao Xiao in case anything occurs during this period." Unless she watches over the young lad, Chu Yi could never be at ease while they are here in the Snow Clan's home. "No, I can't go." Huang Xiaoying shook her head desperately. "I promised the princess to protect you too. If I leave, then who will do that?" "Huh, don't take me as some weak maiden that needs protecting. I'm in no danger." "Xiaoyan, go with her as well. She is so clumsy and road blind. I'm not comfortable leaving her go out alone." Chu Yi sighs and shakes her own head in a helpless fashion at the arrangement. Okay, we'll be back very soon, don't go anywhere without reason. Lan Xiaoyun immediately swings around and drags the tigress along for the exit. Wait, you hold on. Huang Xiaoying wanted to cry because she hasn't forgotten about the three-striped tiger. If she leaves, then what about the tiger? Out of desperation, she pushed away her friend's hand and quickly took out a bottle and dagger from the storage bag. Cutting a slight opening on the tip of her finger, she lets a few drops of blood trickle into the container and hands it over to Chu Yi. You hold this. Although the blood is not as useful in comparison to having me around, the few drops in there should still be enough to keep this tiger at bay for now. Just don't do anything to provoke him until he's better. Chu Yi nodded after taking the bottle over, thus allowing the two girls to depart in assurance. She got careless and completely forgot about this other problem when suggesting them to leave. Thankfully, the tigress had kept this in mind and helped out. Sister, are you going to end up as enemies to the Snow Clan? Snow Moon eventually asks in timid tone after seeing they are alone. This younger daughter of Snow Hawk may be of a small age, but she too had noticed the heavy atmosphere in her moon as of late. I don't know. This answer from the Holy Land Princess was an honest one. She too doesn't know of what the future holds. If the Snow Clan use excessive force, then they too would be backed into a corner. By then, what other choice would she and Bai Xiao have? It's the main reason she sent her two companions away to look for Bai Yan. With the Demon Queen around, what do they have to fear? I see. Hanging her head dejectedly, Snow Moon could guess what's going to happen at this rate. But then her sad moon immediately got swiped away when she noticed the older sister's gaze. It's okay, Sister Yi, I won't go tattle on you to my father. I know my family's situation, I only hope my father won't make the wrong choice in this. He can be quite stubborn at times, but he's not a bad person at heart. Please know that. Feeling a tinge of guilt for putting such a young lass in this bind, the Holy Land Princess reaches out and caressed that small head in a comforting motion. Framed 1. Snow Clan's main gathering hall. Snow Hawk sat high atop of his master chair as he gazes down at the two younglings before himself. When I have something to discuss with Lotus in private, you can go back to your room first. Yes, uncle. Despite complying by arching his fist and turning for the exit, the young man had made a disgruntled face once he turned the other way. It's not surprising in this case, after all, he did work so hard just to get this far and winning the girl's fancy. Why should he be cast aside like an outsider when he wanted to be more? Lotus, Snow Hawk returns his attention back to his daughter after making sure they're alone. You've been talking with Wen Yi again, haven't you? Hanging her head low in an almost guilty manner. Father, cousin Wen Yi is way better than that Bai Xiao. Why are you so prejudiced towards him? Besides, what's so good about that Bai Xiao anyways? Didn't that outsider say he's without parents? Such a person has no status to speak of. Why are you comparing such a low-standing person to Big Cousin? The Wen clan may not be comparable to the Snow clan, but they're by no means weak in this frostbitten realm. However, in retrospect to Bai Zhao's connection with Bai Yan, the two could never be on the same stage. In fact, the Queen of the Demon Realm could easily overshadow every major power in this northern landscape if brought to the front. Lotus, I won't repeat myself again, so stop having those thoughts. You will not change my mind on the matter. I care not whether you accept the marriage or not, you will marry that boy, understand? The older man's expression had gotten stern and hard, and in my opinion, that Bai Xiao doesn't necessarily want to accept you. Lotus only sneered at that idea, cocking her chin high like a proud peacock. Don't make me laugh, father, that asshole is only pretending to not like me in order to trick me into liking him. I've seen plenty who tried such plays in the past. I bet it's because he knows you won't let him leave. That's why he wanted to use such means to earn image points. He probably feels so inferior that he needs to use such underhanded tricks. Enough, I don't want to hear any more. Groaning like he's going to get headache at his eldest daughter's logic, Snow Hawk's brow had furrowed into a deep knot. Swiping the air impatiently, we will talk again later, leave me for now. Also, you are not allowed to get close to Wen Yi during this period, do you understand? Father. Lotus stomps her feet hard in frustration, but then retracted that whiny tone after lighting up with an idea. Father, I heard you got your hands on a divine god pill. Can you give cousin Winnie it? If you do, then I promise to listen to you. Divine god pill, a very rare drug that could help one break through from a middle divine rank into the higher divine rank. It's a wonderful product most could only dream about, and in this case the Snow clan has gotten in their possession a single pill for the most talented of their members. Growing extremely ugly in the face at the sudden request, the man could tell where this was leading to. Lotus, you know well enough that our clan is saving that pill. Why would you ask such a thing of me? Of course I know, father. That's why I'm asking you to let cousin Winnie take it. I know you and the elders are all looking for the most talented among the younger generation to use it upon, but you need to stop being biased towards cousin Winnie. He's been stuck at the middle divine stage for so long. If he takes that divine god pill, then he will surely make a breakthrough. You know it too, he and I. Humph. Snowhawk sounded irate now. You really have been blinded by that boy, haven't you, Lotus? Don't think your father I can't see through to his schemes. He wants the divine god pill? Dream on. That precious drug will only be used on someone within the family, not some distant relative from another clan. Also, once you are married to that Bai Xiao, I will be sending Wen Yi back to the Wen clan. It's not right for him to constantly stay at our home when he has his own. Framed too, father. Snow Lotus exclaims, her eyes teary and wanting to argue some more. However, the indifferent gaze coming from her old man told the distressed lady all she needed to know and how fruitless it would be. Without any extra hesitation, she turns and stepped out of the hall with a strong level of unstableness. Father can't fool me, he only wants to keep the divine god pill because of that annoying Moon, little sister. Just because Moon's talent is superior to mine that they are willing to be so unfair to me? I can't let this go on. Cousin Wen Yi have already been wronged, I must get him the pill at all cost. Gradually, Snow Lotus's figure had straightened out with a firm steadiness in her strides. Father, don't blame me, it's you who forced me. She mutters while giving a casting glance at the hall behind herself. In this world, there's no one who could give Snow Lotus a sense of security aside from her so-called strong and powerful cousin. After leaving the hall, the resentful lady directly went over to Wen Yi's courtyard where the man was already waiting anxiously. Big cousin, without surprise, she bursts into tears and threw herself at him. Wen Yi caught the girl, of course. Wiping some of the tears with his finger like a gentleman, he dives right into the main topic. So did you get it? Did uncle give you the divine god pill? Appearing apologetic in her face, my father did not want to give me it. Big cousin, it looks like we will need to look for an alternative method at this rate. Towards Lotus's answer, the guy expected it as much and didn't get angry. Even so, he couldn't hide the touch of disappointment in those eyes. This woman is really stupid, she can't even get a stupid pill for me. If not for the fact that the Snow clan only has her and that young Moon as the next heir, I wouldn't even consider this stupid woman. She has neither brains nor body, it disgusts me so much. Having thought that, Wen Yi did not forget to keep up his gentleman act when the girl faced upwards to meet his gaze. Softening in his voice, Lotus, you know I only want to rely on my own ability to grow, I do not want you to suffer in my stead. Regarding the divine god pill, you mustn't go to uncle again, understand? That worked as expected because Snow Lotus's mood grew even more guilty and conscious of her own failure. Cousin Wen Yi is so amazing, he never asks for others to help him. Why must father misunderstand him as such? Cousin, I will not let father continue to misunderstand you. He will learn sooner or later who is the better option for being the Snow clan's son-in-law. It's all that Bai Zhao's fault, he must have been spouting lies to him in secret and making you look bad. Wen Yi didn't buy that theory, of course, in the way he narrowed his eyes in at that last remark. He's not stupid like this, Lotus. The guy could tell Bai Zhao could care less about the Snow clan based on his attitude alone. That leaves only one answer. The one behind his semi-exile state was the chief who saw through his plan. I know, my sweet Lotus, I know. Bai Zhao lusts after you. That's why he framed me so that he could get uncle to side with him. I won't let him do that, I promise you. I will let everyone in the Snow Clan know how much I love you through my own strength and not by taking advantage of others. That said, the sweet talker reaches out with his hand and caressed the girl's hair in a soothing motion, those eyes radiating a doting love usually found in a pair of lovebirds. Framed. 3. Big cousin, is it wrong for me being the eldest daughter of the Snow Clan? I didn't want to be born strong, nor did I choose this beautiful appearance of mine, they're all given to me by my mother. Why does fate like to toy with me as much? All those shameless men only know how to connive after me and refuse to stay away. If I could, I would rather abandon it all just to be with you. Reaching up to caress her own face, Snow Lotus appears both bitter and happy at the same time for her own life somehow. Those men at least had father blocking them away so I didn't have to do anything, but now that asshole has father in his fingertips. What am I supposed to do? Lotus, I fear it's not that simple with that Bai Xiao. Those in the past only want you and the wealth your family can provide, but this guy must be up to no good. You already saw how he schemed to take the Ice Lotus, he's probably meditating to do more than just marrying you. From that warm smile of the pretentious guy, when he began to lead this stupid lady down the path he wants, I know now, it must be the divine god pill. He's weak so he wants to also grow stronger. With that pill, he will be able to do just that after stealing it in his next step. That actually brought a visible tremble to the lady's face. Shaking her head in the next like she's trying to think of something, how is that possible? Bai Xiao can't even climb out of bed, so how can he steal the divine god pill from my father? Did you forget? He had a few friends who came today. Do you think it's a coincidence that they deliberately approached your younger sister Moon at this timing? Maybe their whole purpose is to get the pill from the very start and the Ice Lotus is merely a coincidence. I can't be certain, but you must remind your father to be careful of everything and everyone related to that person. Wen Yi says it with such solemn tone that it's hard to dismiss the possibility in the eye of the girl. Getting depressed again at the mention of her old man, but my father is already convinced of Bai Zhao's intent, he won't believe my words. And if I go to him and tell him about your opinion, father will surely misunderstand you some more. Then the divine god pill. The guy continues to keep the conversation around that item since he doesn't want to leave it. Don't worry, that is placed inside the altar room by father, some outsider wouldn't be able to get there on his own. The location won't be a problem. Altar? Wen Yi raised an eyebrow, his mouth nearly unable to stop from laughing out aloud. So that's why. The divine god pill is inside the altar room, no wonder I couldn't find out where it was from Snow Hawk's concubine. Sleeping with that old hag was such a pain, though she did look fantastic for a middle woman. That bastard must have been on to me for a while now. I need to finish up with my plans soon lest he acts against me. Softening up until his voice could melt hearts, I am relieved then Lotus, you have no idea how worried I've been for you and your family since that outsider came into our lives. We must continue to be vigilant around that person. There are a lot of bad people who wants to take advantage of others in this world. After saying that, the guy went ahead to lean down at the nearby rose patch and plucked a piece from the bush to offer it over to the girl. Snow Lotus of course felt elated at the offered gift, but her sight had lost sight of the thorns on the stem there and easily pricked her own finger, letting blood draw from the small cut. Lotus! The guy hurriedly grabbed hold of her hand and wiped it with a handkerchief, his eyes showing pain and regret. It's all my fault. You're hurt because of my carelessness. Seeing the unabashed lovey eyes coming her way, the girl melted away like she's eating honey. I'm all right, cousin Wen Yi, don't worry about me. This won't do, you are my precious Lotus. Even a prick from a rose is a prick to my heart. Come, let me take you to your bedroom for rest. Acting like he's relieved over her statement, Wen Yi casually tossed aside the handkerchief and plucked her right up into a princess hold and left. This would have been a real princess and prince story right out of a fairy tale. Issue was the guy didn't leave for long in this case. Minutes later, Wen Yi had returned in haste and picked up the blood-stained fabric from the ground. Others may not know the details, but the altar room's doorway had been sealed with a spell to keep intruders out. Only those with a direct bloodline of the Snow Clan could open it, and he wasn't one of them. That's why he used the rose to get some from Lotus, and now he has it. Framed. 4. Compared to the tenseness of sneaking into the altar room half an hour ago, when he only had joy right now in his eyes as he held the divine god pill high above his head for gazing. It took longer than he expected earlier, but he's got it now after locating the item inside a small compartment hidden behind the altar. With this I will finally break into the high divine stage, and at that point no one can order me around anymore. Humph, I can also ditch that stupid woman and get a real one. Lotus can't even get a simple pill for me, what use is she in the future? Not long after the so-called gentleman's departure, Snow Lotus's figure also appeared at the altar room's entrance. Compared with the man's initial nervousness of being a thief, this oldest daughter of the Snow clan was much calmer in the face. Why the stark contrast? Well, she knows well enough that her father wouldn't do anything even if it's discovered she stole the pill. After all, if anything happens, then who would marry Bai Xiao? Using a dagger to cut open a small wound along the fingertip, she lets the blood drip onto the door lock and shoved it open. Subsequently, the lady did as the guy did and searched all around for the supposed secret compartment. But instead of being elated once she located the spot, she only got irate and red in the face like an erupted volcanoes. Where's the pill? Where's the divine god pill? Why is it gone? Did father transfer the item to another place? But that's not possible. Where else in the estate can father securely hide the pill? During her spiraling train of thoughts and possible ideas, Snow Lotus's eyes suddenly popped in wide astonishment like it sudden dawned on her. Bai Xiao and his friends just arrived, then the divine god pill goes missing. It's too much of a coincidence. They must be the thief. They stole it. Someone come right this instant. Snow Lotus cries out after standing up and immediately drew the nearest guards to come running. Miss, is something wrong? One of the leading men asks with rigid attention. Gritting her teeth, the divine god pill has been stolen. Boom. Her words struck the guards thunderously, sending them all staring blankly and unable to process the sentence in full. To begin with, their missions has been to prevent anyone from approaching the altar room, and the only reason they left was because of Snow Lotus dismissing them a few hours ago. Then all of a sudden the divine god pill has gone missing? Anyone with a brain could tell who would take the blame in this case, and it wasn't the young lady. It's all Moon's fault. If it wasn't that girl delaying me earlier, then I would've. Stopping there to stomp her feet in frustration, Lotus began to let her wild thoughts run wild. Framed 5. Those responsible for guarding the place immediately got all fearful in their faces. Miss, how are we going to report this to the chief? There's another thing he didn't say though. If it wasn't for the big lady temporarily removing them from here, then it wouldn't have been possible for the divine god pill to go missing in the first place. At least not without them noticing beforehand at someone sneaking into the altar room and leaving them blindsided. Lotus glared hard at the group in front of herself. Just shut up and follow me, we're going to retrieve the divine god pill right now. Originally the group that's full of panicking adults gradually calmed down after hearing her words. What? The big lady knows where the pill is? Ignoring the strange looks coming her way, Lotus went ahead to leave for the inner courtyard where she assumed the thief resides. Guest room. Holding a bowl of soup in hand, Chu carefully spoon-fed the content to the young lad across from herself. My hands are not a problem, I can drink it by myself. This of course embarrassed Bai Xiao, who never had such great treatment from the opposite sex. No, that won't do at all. Bai Yen is not around right now, so I must take good care of you. Chu Yi's eyes flashed with gleeful light as they flickered shyly away from his gaze. You need to drink this up, okay? Likewise, Bai Xiao also flared up into a flushed red hue along his cheeks due to their close contact. He could tell how awkward and intimate their current pose appeared. Even so, he didn't reject the kindness. Bang! Just then, as the pair were going through their moment, the door to the room suddenly got slammed open by a pair of feministic hands. Startled in the fashion of a cat having its tail stepped upon, Chu Yi swiftly dropped the content in her hand and stepped in between the unwelcomed people and her crush. What are you doing here? Standing at the door was a lady wearing a peach-colored dress, and behind her was a line of guards that has surrounded the room in a circling formation. Go, nab this thief for me. Cocking her chin high, Snow Lotus ignored that question and directly gave the order. Yes, milady. The leading guards rushed forward, giving no care for anything else. Bai Xiao always knew this moment would come, so he didn't get scared. Rather, he leaned down and grabbed the dropped bowl and threw it at the rude bitch. Get lost. He's got plenty of practice in the past in the Bai house, so this behavior wasn't anything new. He merely returned to his roots. When has Lotus ever been treated like so? Having a bowl that's been smothered with soup thrown in her face? The very fact that she was clueless enough to get hit showed how dense this lady was at heart. Shouting aloud in an irate manner, "Bai Xiao! How dare you throw my family's own stuff at me? You are a thief. Now I got proof, so you can forget about escaping the blame. But as long as you return the divine god pill, then I will spare you a painful death." Chu Yi now understood why this lady would come barging in, raising a sneering smirk. Instead of going to look for the thief after losing something, you come and blame us? Do you take us for fools? You, Snow Lotus glared at the Holy Land princess. Nothing happened until you came into my home. Who else could have done the theft then, huh? I bet it's you who did the thieving. Puffing up her chest to taunt the other rude girl, Chu Yi never cowers before a challenge, especially when she's being called a thief when she never did it. I, Chu Yi, will never deny doing something if it's done by my own hands. Don't go accusing me of just anything. Although I don't know what that whatever divine god pill can do, but if it's an alchemic product, then I can get some at any time I want. Why should I go steal it from your household? Framed 6. By Yan's an alchemist, and with her ability and knowledge of ancient formulas, Chu Yi was certain she could get any Dan pill without problem. In that case, why would she need to steal some from another person? Don't assume that Bai Yan disliked the Holy Land princess by the way she speaks to her or the way the mother lectures the steam bun to stay away from the troublesome lass. They're in fact very close and would do anything for this temperamental follower. You really know how to lie. Who would dare say they can get a divine god pill with ease? Despite my family being the most powerful in this land, we too could only get one of those, and yet you dare say you can get a bunch? Show me proof then, humph. Come on. Bring out a bunch to show me. Chu Yi actually became stumped for a second. I don't have any on me right now, but Bai Yan is an alchemist, so she will know how to refine some. If I go and ask her, then she will give me plenty, so why would I need to take yours? Ha! Snow Lotus cracks a sneering laugh like she's exposed the other side. That proves my point. You know a alchemist? Don't make me laugh. I'm giving you one last chance. Hand over the divine god pill that you stole and I will spare you a painful death. That does it for Chu Yi. Squinting her eyes into a narrow slit, the princess forms a smirk and beckons the other girl to come forward with a finger. Come over. If you do, then I'll return the whatever pill to you. That's more like it. Snow Lotus snorted, her chin held high as she slowly marched over. Now where's the Dan pill? Since the place belonged to the Snow clan, none of the guards or the ladies suspected trickery. But as she got closer, Chu Yi suddenly raised her leg and directly kicked into the lady's stomach and sent her flying backwards. To begin with, Snow Lotus's talent has never been high. Coupling in with the years of love talk and unwillingness to train, she naturally fell heads over heels due to the lack of defense. She could barely breathe due to the stanching pain in the abdomen. Then to make matters worse, Chu Yi took this opportunity while everyone was still in a daze to rush forward and stomp down at the gasping girl's back. You think your madam here will just put up with your nonsense and accusations, right? I've been putting up with your attitude long enough. When have I ever suffered such attitudes from anyone? Chu Yi has devolved back into her old violent self in this case. She's never been one to take anything, attitude or indignation. Now that she's been pushed over the edge, things won't end smoothly regardless of who comes. Bai Xiao watched on as her friend there delivered a good whop-ass kicking. He actually found this side of the Holy Land princess quite likable based upon the way he's smiling. However, being happy was one thing. The guy didn't get so lost in the moment that he would miss out on the guards who were throwing themselves at Chu Yi by this point. Rushing over to his companion as well. Stop. Whoever comes closer, then I will destroy the Millennium Ice Lotus inside my body. Afterwards no one will get their hands on the flower. He warns with ice in his voice. Sure enough, the guards who came with Lotus halted in their steps. They know well enough the only reason Snowhawk, the current chief, wanted this young lad into their ken was because of the ice lotus and the promise it holds. If anything happens to that magical flower, then they would be severely punished, death even for themselves and their family. Framed. 7. What are you all dazing around for? Snow Lotus became rightfully outraged at the guards who didn't run over immediately. Get over there and nab this woman. But, milady, the Millennium Ice Lotus. Are you stupid or all just brain dead? This bastard is bluffing you. We just have to kill him to retrieve the Millennium Ice Lotus. There's no reason to keep him alive. Big Cousin said it already. Retrieving the Ice Lotus is as easy as offing this asshole. Afterwards the flower will be ours to remove. Regarding Wen Yi's words, this eldest daughter of the Snow Clan would believe anything, even the stupidest lies that most would deny right away. However, these household guards weren't as confident and hesitated. They know what the consequences are if anything happens to that precious treasure. What's more, their status wasn't on the same level as the lady. They are expendable and they know it. By this point Bai Xiao had taken the opportunity to get in front of his friend. Showing force in his posture despite being sloppy and weak. No one can touch her as long as I'm here today. Unless you want me to destroy myself along with the Ice Lotus. The boy's threat once again pushed the guards back. Xiao Xiao. Chui lets go of her target and swings around to be a shield again, her face tense and insecure. Actually, I'm usually not this brutish, I'm usually very gentle. She got careless and revealed that temperament born from the protection of the Holy Land. Oh, what do I do? Will Xiao Xiao think I'm too brutish and not give me a chance? Thinking of this, Chu Yi strongly adds another part. I am really, really gentle, you must believe me. Bai Xiao openly smiled at that. You are indeed really, really gentle, but for this type of woman you need not be gentle. In front of the enemy, you only need to beat them hard and fast until they can't stand up again. The princess just stared, her eyes showing incredulous disbelief. He means, I don't need to hold back my temper in front of those I find to be an eyesore? I won't have to hold back? Do you think I'm bad-tempered? No, she wronged you first, so you should do whatever you want. Bai Xiao has always been indifferent in his own personality, never showing pity to those who cross him. In this case, it's Snow Lotus who sought her own demise, so why should he do anything about it? But would you still be on my side if I hit someone for no reason? Chu Yi fixes her eyes on the young man in anticipation for the answer. Bai Xiao laughs aloud with a humor in his voice. I believe in you. I believe you won't harm others in a barbaric manner unless you deem it necessary. After all, if my sister trusts you, then I of course trust you as well. In the eye of this young lad, anyone his older sister believes in are worthy of his trust regardless of what they do. To be clear, it's not without reason. Just look at what they experienced in the Bai house. Despite being the children of that home, no one believed their suffering or difficulties and even earned a bad reputation for asking for help. Who believed them then? As a result, he wants to trust in those whom they deem friends. That's their decision and conviction. Chu Yi smiled brilliantly at the pass. Should I thank Bai Yan later? I didn't even do anything and already left such a good impression on Xiao Xiao. You too. Snow Lotus pulls herself up and glared her eyes out resentfully at the pair. You stole my family's treasure and still dare to hit me? I'm going to tell my father and hang both of you for me to hit.